Islam, Islam, Islam. I am Dr. Torre. I'm Nur Rasul Simpson Bey, National Assistant Grand Chairman of Marsh America, National Assistant Sunday School Instructor, Council General of the God Allah Georgia Territory. Giving rise and praise to our Father God Allah and honors to our Holy Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and honors to our Marsh American government for another Egyptian Adeptus Research class. Our host today would be Dr. Shedo Amenti Muhedjisep Shuel, our National Assistant Grand Chairman of Marsh America. And also today's Egyptian Adeptus Research class will be sponsored by the God Allah Georgia Consulate. Islam, Islam, Islam family. I see Dr. Akhenaten Pradim Hebrew, Tutankhamun Bey, and Dr. Hesepsi Tutankhamun Bey on the manifest. Islam.
Islam. Greetings, National Assistant Grand Chairman, Marsh America.
Islam. Greetings, National Grand Secretary of State. How you be, Goddess and Queen?
All is well. Chairman's on a mission right now.
Oh, Islam. Praise Allah. Okay. In gratitude, that class, the Holy Day service class, man, I tell you, grand class, Goddess and Queen. I don't know if I told you now, but I have to tell you again.
Well, Allah is due to praise, and great demonstration this morning. Gratitude.
Islam, Goddess Queen. All right.
All right. Peace and love.
Peace and love. Oh, give Dr. Nefertiti to the Coming Bay my love as well. Islam.
Will do. Gratitude.
Islam Council General, Texas Territory, Dr. Marvin Ellis Bey. Islam, Grandman. Grand class on grand, more perspective. Islam.
Islam Morris, peace and love.
Islam, grand class on last night. More perspective. Islam.
Oh, gratitude, God, man. Praise Allah.
Yes, sir.
Glad to be of service.
That's right. Islam, Grandman. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Islam Morris King. I want to welcome everyone out to another Egyptian Adeptus Research class sponsored by the Marsh American government. We give honors to the God Allah Consulate for providing the forum. We give honors to our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Marsh America, Dr. Shedo Amenti Muhedjisep Shuel, for our host for this class. And we give honors to all those who are on the manifest. Islam. We'll be starting shortly. Islam, Islam, Islam. I want to welcome you to another Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate class, sponsored by our Moorish American government. We give honors to the Georgia, God Allah territory for providing counseling. But most especially, we give all praise be to Allah and honor to our holy prophet for bringing us everything that it takes to save us as a nation. Now we must take it and save yourself. Islam. When we opened up the way this morning with our Egyptian, Moorish American Adaptist prayer. Also, we'll be reading the Divine Constitution of Moorish America and the chapter of the week. I am Dr. Torre of New Rasul, Simpson Bay, National Assistant Grand Chairman of Moorish America, National Assistant Sunday School Instructor, Council General of the God Allah Georgia Territory. We give rise and praise to our Father God Allah, honors to our Holy Prophet, Noble Ali, honors to everything that is Moorish, our Grand National Flag, emblem and seal, Divine Constitution, and bylaws of Moorish America. Islam, Islam, Islam. And as I open up the way with our commission at that prayer, I ask that you would open up your hearts and minds for another grand meeting. Who made us? Who made you? Allah. Islam. The commission at that prayer. Ya Allah abnu harum akunataru. Ya Allah abhet haru. Ya Allah ma'at haru. Ya Allah hotep haru. Ya Allah haru. Ya Allah ma'at harakuti. Ya Allah awajet dajuti. Ya Allah per im sutek per im haru. Ya Allah bamaduti. Al-Hajjat Shebs Ray Abdu Ali. Aliyasa, Aliyasa, Aliyasa. And that is to say in transliteration, O Allah, the Father of the universe, O Allah, the Father of love, O Allah, the Spirit of truth, O Allah, O Allah, the Father of love, O Allah, the Spirit of truth, O Allah, the Spirit of peace, O Allah, the Spirit of freedom, O Allah, the Spirit of justice, O Allah, you are my protector, O Allah, you are my guide, O Allah, you are my salvation by night and by day, O Allah, through your holy prophet, O Allah, Ali, Amen. Holiyasa, Holiyasa, Holiyasa. Islam. Islam, Moorish King. At this time, we will have the reading of our divine constitution of Moorish America. Salvation, our God, unity. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of Moorish America are empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Moorish America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizens of Moorish America. The bylaws, Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7, and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on the Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on the Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all mobs all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and a parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Moorish Americans to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and a parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America, and then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Prophet Noble Ali, peace and blessings be upon him, the founder, father, and framer of the divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America. And now that this meeting has been opened according to Act 2 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, we say Islam, Islam, Islamism. And at this time, we will have the reading of the chapter of the week, chapter 17. Islam, let these limited ones in. All right. Islam, chapter 17. Chapter 17, life and works of Jehosha in Egypt among the Gentiles. Jehosha with Elihu and Salom in Egypt tells the story of his journeys. Elihu and Solomon and Salom praise Allah. Jehosha goes to the temple in Heliopolis and is received as a pupil. Islam. And Jehosha came to Egypt land, and all was well. He tarried not upon the coast. He went at once to Zoan, home of Elihu and Salom, who 25 years before had taught his mother in this sacred grove and their sacred school. And there was joy when met these three. When last the son of Mary saw these sacred grove, he was a babe. And now a man grown strong by buffeting of every kind, a teacher who has stirred the multitudes in many lands. And Jehosha told the aged teachers all about his life, about his journeyings in foreign lands, about the meetings with the masters and his kind receptions by the multitudes. Elihu and Salom heard his story with delight. They lifted up their eyes to heaven and said, our Father God Allah, let now thy servants go in peace, for we have seen the glory of Allah. And he and we have talked with him, the messenger of love and of the covenant of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Through him shall the nations of the earth be blessed, through him, Emmanuel. And Jehosha stayed in Zoan many days, and then went forth into the city of the sun, that men called Heliopolis, and sought admission to the temple of the sacred brotherhood. The council of the brotherhood convened, and Jehosha stood before the hierophant. He answered all questions that were asked with clearness and with power. The hierophant exclaimed, Rabboni of the Rabbinate, why come you here? Your wisdom is the wisdom of the gods. Why seek for wisdom in the halls of men? And Jehosha said, in every way of life I would walk, in every hall of learning I would sit. The heights that any man has gained, these I would gain. What any man has suffered, I would meet, that I may know the griefs, the disappointments, and the sore temptations of my brother man. That I may know just how to succor those in need. I pray you, brothers, let me go into your dismal crypts, and I will pass the hardest of your test. The master said, take then the vow of secret brotherhood, and Jehosha took the vow of secret brotherhood. Again, the master spoke. He said, the highest heights are gained by those who reach the greatest depths, and you shall reach the greatest depths. The guide then led the way, and in the fountain Jehosha bathed. And when he had been clothed in proper garb, he stood again before the hierophant. Islam, Islam, Islamism. And at this time, we're going to open up the floor to our National Assistant Grand Sheikh of Moorish America, Dr. Shat Shuel. Islam, Islam, Islam. Swift Angel number 4, Dr. Shat Shuel, the floor is yours, Grand Man. Islam. The floor is yours, Dr. Shat Shuel. Are you there? I see you on the board. Yeah, there you go.
Islam.
I can hear you.
Can you hear
There
me
you
now?
go. There you go. I got you loud and clear. Islam.
Yeah, for some reason, I don't know why it didn't let me right in when I pushed the button, but I'm here now. I'm having some boot issues. Let's see here. Can you see my camera?
No, sir, not yet. No image, period.
Sorry for a second.
What about now?
Let me see, it should be pop. I see you now. Islam.
Okay, Islam. Gratitude, family. Islam, Islam, Islam. Want to rise upon the seventh and give all praises to the great God, Allah, Father God, Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution, and bylaws. And honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything, and I do mean everything, that our holy prophet brought to make us a nation. Want to give honors to our Moorish kin and welcome you to another grand drawing in regards to dealing with our ears.
Part of self,
research.
Part of self now, Sister Grand Sheik. Let me phone number 612-406-8964. Identify yourself, please.
I think that's Bartholomew Thomas Bate, but you know, he's no longer a part of the executive rulers because he stepped down.
Well, if you don't, even if Islam, it was understood to be said. Islam.
Yes, sir.
Too easy.
Yeah, gratitude, Islam. All right. So yeah, we give honors to our Moorish kin, and we're coming forth again with another Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate session. And with this particular drawing, what we're gonna do, it's gonna be a powerful measure this morning because we got a whole bunch of information for our people. It's gonna lift the burden. You know, we'll just put it that way. All I can say is once I put it on our Moorish kin, you know, you just dive into it. So we got a lot of resources to aid and assist ones, and a lot of confirmation on some of the things that we actually did on our own. The way we was putting the alphabet together, we put it together just like it was supposed to be. Praise be to Allah. You know, it's been a process. So Islamism. But what I want to do, without further ado and delay, before I do anything, you know, we always have to go into the Book of Fire. And so I want to go into the Book of Fire, get 3 more to read from the Book of Fire. And this is start from the ancient Kemetian Moorish history. It starts from page 321. And we want our Moorish kin to go up to page, not that one. Yeah, we can go up to page 326. And we'll have our family stop at the value of a divine history. Well, better yet, you know what? You can stop at page 325.
Islam.
Yeah, Islam. Okay, so Brother Muhammad Bey, you want to be the first brother that started us off?
Yes, gratitude, Grandman, and gratitude for the opportunity.
Okay. Okay, so we'll let you start us off and you can take us up to 322, where we deal with Adam and Eve. You can read that and go to the end where it says, see chapter 18. Islam.
Islam.
All right. And we can take another more. Islam.
Islam. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We hear you loud and clear, Brother Marvin Elvis Bay.
Gratitude.
Gratitude for that class last night as well.
Praise Allah. Honor his prophet. Gratitude.
Yes, Gratitude. Also, you can start at Be Conscious of Biblical Beginnings. And you can take us from page 322 up until the end of 323, which is after the beginning corn became the word of God. You'll stop it by their European brothers.
Gratitude.
Islam. And one more.
Islam.
That's our brother Bati Bey.
Show enough is Islam.
Islam, grand man.
Islam.
Okay, so what we'll get you to do is take us on over from there, you know, after he is done. And you can actually pick up from the top of page 324 and go to 325 with a Vatican subsidies parts of. And that's above the value of a divine history. Islam.
Islam.
Gratitude. I'm a Badu. You may proceed, Brother Muhammad Bey.
Gratitude, National Assistant Grand Sheikh. Islam, Islam, Islam. I am Dr. Joe Hamid Muhammad Bey, Consul General of the South Carolina Consulate Post Consulate. And first, let me rise in praise of our Father God, Allah, who is the best known arranger of all things. I give highest honors to our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who is the last prophet of this new era of time. He is the seventh manifestation in divine flesh, the seventh angel, Al-Haj Sharif Abdul Ali. I give honors to Act 1 of our divine constitution and bylaws. I give honors to our Grand National Seal, our Grand National Emblem, and our Grand National Flag. I give honors to this theocratic government in which we all live and can live. I give honors to Marcus Messiah Garvey L., the forerunner to our beloved Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And I give honors to everyone on this research class this morning of the Moorish American government in this nation. I give honors to everything Moorish, and I give honors to those that spoke before me and those that will speak after me. I will be reading from page 321, Adam and Eve, on the topic matter, an ancient Kemetic Moorish history, Islam. The illustrious Prophet Noble Drew Ali was the first Moorish American patriot to teach the lost found descendants of Africans the truth about Adam and Eve. He said, they are the mothers and fathers of the human family, Asiatics and Muslims. Although the entire human family began in Africa, the majority of their true history has been secretly kept from their children in the Americas. A whitewashed European version of Adam and Eve has been force-fed through Christianity to these African children during the subjugation of the mother continent. Until the advent of the Holy Prophet, the Western world saw the first human family on earth through spectacles that had been prescribed with falsehoods, myths, and hypocrisy. Through these European designer glasses, the modern world saw only a pale-skinned Adam and Eve, whom lived in a mystical Garden of Eden. This Eden had an exclusive for white folks only sign at the entrance. Also in the Bible subhanAllah, correct self, family, subhanAllah. Also in the Black Psychic, this Eden was propagated to be in the well-off white folks' settlement. And with the exception of being infested with a talking snake, was believed to be the only heaven a good Negro could possibly, perhaps, maybe, pray to reach in the sweet by and by after they die. To this day, most religious circles accept the Dark Age story as the word of God. Since slaves are bred to have short memories, most ex-slaves habitually will serve the God of their former slave masters. The God could not be perceived nor defined beyond the realms of the very church that ordained the denationalization and enslavement of African worshipers. When Drew Ali first brought the true history of Africans to the Moorish, they became awed at its infinite, universal, and deific depth. To this day, of all the millions of Negro churches in the United States, with countless Bible thumpers, there is not one so-called African church, African Christian, with full relationship knowledge to the true origin of Adam and Eve. The story of Adam and Eve is actually the original verbal historical account of the first civilized people of Africa. It is the truth of their divine origin, fall, and attainment to perfection being told by wise men to all initiates. The glory of this first man and woman represents the complete cycle of the great God in man. This circle of life was called Emmanuel by the ancient Israelites. The holy story of Adam and Eve is the divine essence of a charted course that all men must ultimately follow. There is no escape from the fixed destiny endured in the historical infinity of the story of Adam and Eve. Without the pure knowledge of one's derivation, any person armed only with human knowledge will face the instability of their karmic present while awaiting an obscured future. Without the true knowledge of Adam and Eve, carnal man will believe he lives in the make-believe life that is trapped between a birth and death. In this chapter, the required do or die light of Adam and Eve will be revealed. How the esoteric history of Adam and Eve has been used to lessen gods into humans and people and reduce humans into Negroes. The deliberate burial of the true value to the first family on earth will lay bare the dark aging of a people. The state of ignorance about Adam and Eve has also been used directly to secure the institution of slavery in the Western Hemisphere. This state severed the paternal roots of nearly a half billion African nationals, detaching them from the human family with the marks of Negro, Blacks, and colored people in BC. Every nation that claims attachment to the human family has had their Adam and their Eve. The Bible is full of Adam and Eve. However, most of them are shrouded under the terms begot or begotten. In fact, the Adam and Eve genealogy of Jehosha the Christ through his father Joseph and mother Mary in the books of Matthew 1:1-16, and Luke 3:23-38 are sound examples of how serious African nationals truly are about their divine origin. Adam is the founding father of the human family of nations and its first patriot. Other more renowned Adams are the great Ham and his lineage of Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. Also, there's undeniable father divine of many nations, Abraham, with his sons Ishmael and Isaac. All of these are Adams of great nations, civilizations, and religions. The latter sons actually subdivided the first religious creed, the ancient KEMET mystery system, into Judaism and Islam. See chapter 18. Most Americans can now relate to George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Quincy Adams, etc., as being the founding fathers of the United States of America. By divine design, they are indisputable Adams of the USA. However, today's problem with the same Americans is they have very little understanding when it comes to their ex-slaves being a clearing being a clean and pure nation with their own Adam. Hence the purpose of our subtitle, the exhuming of a nation, to the biography of Noble Drew Ali. Indeed, also by divine design, as revealed in this biography, the prophet Noble Drew Ali is the return of Adam. By this design, he is the first patriot and indisputable founding father of the lost found tribe of Ali, the new Moorish American nation. It does not take the research ability of a master historian to realize the existence, absence, and exhuming of this cornerstone of human family, and that only Noble Drew Ali, having been born among them, proclaimed this nation as the cornerstone of the human family, and that only Noble Drew Ali, having been and that only Noble Drew Ali, having been born among them, proclaimed this nation as his by one divine name and number. Drew Ali states, all Adam and Eve are the mothers and fathers, yet they are one. Hence, the honoring of one's father and mother became one of man's first obligations and source of strength. The so-called Negro race and other NBC people are the only people on earth today without mother or father from which to honor. That's Matthew 15, 1 through 14. High parental honor has been a covenant among African nations since their fall into humanity. It is more holistic in cultures than any modern day religious concept and breathes on every civilized family's origin, genealogy, and heritage. Drew Ali also taught the Moorish Americans that they are olive-skinned Asiatics, angels, and have the same Adam and Eve, father and mother, as those, subhanAllah, as those who guard the holy city. See Genesis 3 and 24 and question number 57 through 63. He educated the Moors to the fact they are the direct children of Adam and Eve. This may seem somewhat acceptable as common knowledge by those in the age of cyberspace and optic centers. However, in 1913, most American Negroes actually had been trained to believe their present idea of Jehosha, God and his mother Mary, were all pale-skinned and the opposite of themselves. To say the least, to them, God's first man and woman of the Bible had to be ever so white. As far as the good Christian colored people were concerned, the first white family of God in their home, a Garden of Eden, was a delicious and evasive slice of pie in the sky after you die. Surely this garden where all white folks and a few good Negroes went to if they were blessed. Prior to the advent of this angel of Allah, question number 41, the Moorish of North America were miseducated into a dark age of Christianized, Darwinized, and denationalized pseudo-life. As unconscious Negroes, blacks, and colored people in BC, they were deceived into believing Adam and Eve were two Europeans in a God's mystical paradise. It is only natural for a few NBC and some self-proclaimed white folks to defend 2,000 years of deception with the modern Christian statement, it doesn't matter what the color of Adam and Eve, we are all children of God. Even a crash dummy would reply with since skin color of God, Adam and Eve, was not important, then why was it biblically taken away and replaced with pale skin? This bitter bit of history of a people's mental status should be well remembered as we now ultimately endeavor into Adam and Eve, as originally told by the ancient ones. But first, let's uncover some more of this 2,000-year-old hoax. Adam and Eve has been mostly told by thieves. No oppressor, slave master, or otherwise ruling government has ever written an accurate history of his or her captives. The Babylonians, KEMETians, Romans, Islamic rulers, Euro-Christian governments, etc. all have slanted the history of their victims to reflect themselves as superior saviors of the wretched of the earth. Naturally, they were all merely doing their God's will to subjugate or annihilate the inferior enemies in order to save them from themselves. Such history will reflect the victors as having saved the wretched from an assumed inevitable doom. The Grecian-Roman interpreted writings of the Israelites' history are by far a prime example to support this reoccurring fact. It turns out, according to prophetic destiny, the pale-skinned nations of Europe are today's controlling world rulers, straddling the current cusp between the Piscean and Aquarian ages. Naturally, their great book, which tells his story of the conquered peoples of African descent, is the foremost propagated and most read book in recorded history. The Bible. The Bible, by far the greatest book of collected African history to be written by Europeans, oddly enough, was not written by Africans and is not the infamous word of God. No, God did not write the Bible. The Greeks from Europe wrote the first draft of the Bible, and it was called the Septuagint. See religious finale. Noble Drew Ali said, "You can't control how another man writes your Moorish history, but when you get the pen in your hand, write your own, tell the truth, and sign your name to it." The ancient KEMETians, having enslaved the tribes of Israel, misnomered them collectively as Hebrews. This was a very degrading label and not the free national name of the people. This renaming or labeling one's chattel is not a new phenomenon. Historically, slave masters have never addressed their slaves by their free names. Slaves, as with all property, are given slave names. This is because they are conquered people and classified by their rulers as inferior and less than a first-class citizen or lower. This is standard procedure based upon the strength that no slave can ever be greater than his or her master. In these modern days, history has repeated itself with the renaming of the West African Moors into Negroes, Blacks, and colored people in BC. And like the so-called Hebrews, after generations of being called names other than your own, the branded slave labels became accepted as normal. Once any living thing began responding to the summons or callings outside of purity of its own natural freedom, it has been domesticated. Indeed, within the slave world of Hebrews and Blacks, some would rather die trying to be what they are not than to live being themselves. See 13th and 14th Amendments. Still, as soon as Moses freed the tribesmen from the Pharaoh's oppression and they got on their feet, these freshly freed nations slandered their former slave masters as Egyptians. The derogatory label Egyptian replaced the true name KEMETian gods of the Nile in all the Hebrew communications and publications. And so it remained until this day. Similarly, in this era, the European rulers called the descendants of Amexem, Akubulan, Negroes, colored, and black. As the so-called blacks were free to read and write, they called their slave masters white. And the beat goes on, and the revolving doors of Maya continue going to and fro. The Israelites, Hebrews, Jehosha, etc., of 2,000 years ago did not write the Bible, a history book about themselves and their verbal account of their creation and fall of man. In fact, the Torah was over 1,000 years old when the Greeks wrote the Bible. The Torah contains Israel's history in their divine accuracy. So there was really no need for another book of their accounts. Ergo, since the Israelites, through which Jehosha was born, had no use for a book written by their oppressor about them, then who did? Obviously, the authors, whether they milked a council or 70 rabbis to get it or not, it was still written for the benefit of the Greeks, Romans, and subsequent nations of Europe. See chapter 18, Islam, Islam, Islam.
Islam. I thought that was Bay, praise and honors, praise Allah and honors Prophet and everything that's Moorish. I'll begin reading. Be conscious of biblical beginnings. To this day, most do not know they have been lied to by those who wrote the word of God in their Koine street Greek language. The biblical Adam and Eve saga was among the first literature the slaves were allowed or force-fed to read, and was greatly enforced with barbaric dosages of fear of white man God by European rulers and slave masters alike. This was the sole purpose for Freemasonry, the Reconstruction Amendments, and the Ku Klux Klan. Their establishments were to save these black sinning heathens from their own wretchedness and for the unconscious institutions of slavery's New World Order, albeit since the Greeks' biblical version is the only version of Adam and Eve known to so-called blacks, then let's sojourn there and see what they look like in the light. But bear in mind the divine origin of the original Hebrew laws of Moses began in the Egyptian mystery system. And the basic European translation of these biblio teachings evolved into a middleman religion of events, which quite candidly he brewed up. Also remember, now as the Moorish Americans began to write their own history, had it not been for Noble Drew Ali's revealing these great truths of the divine origin of African nations, the Western world would not be forced to concede to over 2,000 years of fabricated religious dogma with their information highways and cyberspace intelligence. The true story of Adam and Eve is all about the divine creation and heritage of the original African people. They were not only the first man to people the planet Earth, but their will was emerged with the will of their Father God. Drew Ali placed this in his Science of Asiatics and Muslims, the mothers and fathers of the human family. Question number 57. Here, it will be good to note a Muslim is anyone who submits his or her will entirely to the will of the great God. Hence, Adam and Eve were Muslims before they became Asiatics and human. During the millenniums of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden into the world called Asia, there were no Europeans made. The the hueless ones of the Netherlands were not even a thought. But now, today's pale-skinned nations have had the privilege of governing the earthland, telling his story. All of a sudden, they are the foremost authority on the original first family, Adam and Eve. Surely, this is parallel only to the bastard giving the apocalypse of great grandparents, or hearing fish stories being told by date trees, or a mutt telling the history of his pedigree, or the green monkey that fathered AIDS. Speaking of monkeys, how is it an entire people who proudly proclaims to evolve from primates know the true history about the human family? Was it not these same people who pillaged the prophetic and oral history from the Hebrew tribes in the first place? Not only that, but as unconscious Moors try to paint themselves black into a biblical history, little do they notice it is the pale-skinned nations of Europe themselves who denounce all claims to the biblical human family. This paganistic practice of making God into the image and likeness of man is a gratified weakness amongst the nations of the earth. In these modern times, the nations of the earth named themselves white, then made Jehosha in their image and called him God. Domesticated African slaves being forbidden first-rate entry into white Freemasonry and white Christianity were allowed to make their own versions of these institutions in the quiet of their slave quarters. Today, these are various NBC's fraternal orders and Christian denominations, fully equipped with their own versions of the biblical complete of their own Bible, complete with black Yehoshuas and orders of Christian denominations, or pardon self, um, with black Yehoshuas and surrounding characters in their image and likeness. Oh, the horrors of fallen humanity. Can all this be blamed on the rabbit hormones of Mr. and Mrs. Monkey? The biblical story of Adam and Eve, as told by many religions of the cross, originated from Moses's and various origins to European parts of, originated from Moses's and various Hebrew slave tribes of Africa. Most of these tribal stories lost their spiritual significance in the translations from African origins to European carnal comprehension. What was later reported to the world, diluted and spiritually deprived versions of Greek interpretations of the creation and fall of man. These diverted rays of the truth were not the real thing, but have predominantly hatched the modern West. Not to speak radical against the church, but it seems to me anyone who teaches man cannot be perfected and then give the great God a mama named Mary should know eventually they would have to face the truth sought by inquiring minds. How did the Greeks fit into biblical history? Turning to the centuries surrounding the life of Yehoshua BC-AD, history reveals the Romans and Greeks were governing Palestine. Question number 28. In fact, Greek was made the national language, although the indigenous, like Yehoshua, continued to speak Aramaic. 2 Kings 18:26 / Ezra 4:7, the tongue of their forefathers. This is similar to English being made the national language of the United States, although the surviving Canaanite tribes, Indians, continue to speak Alabaskan and other indigenous dialects. True history will also reflect Greeks thought all languages other than Greek sounded like blah blah ho hum de blah, and considered all non-Greeks barbarians. There are two levels to Greek language. There are two levels to the Greek language. Classical, correct, or proper Greek, and Koine. Koine Greek is everyday common street language with standard colloquial trash-talking expressions and general ad-libbing Greek. Islam. That's where I'm supposed to end? Right.
No, I thought you were supposed to go to European brothers at the bottom of the page. But if you want me to get over, I got you. Islam. First, I'd like to rise and give all my praise to Allah, honors to the Prophet, honors to our theocratic government, our royal council, our flag, seal, emblem, our divine constitution, swift angels, muftis, citizens alike. Honors to all the more before me, all those that will speak after. Honors to all those who had a hand in bringing about this class. It says, after the beginning of coin became the word of God. You guessed it, the first translation of the Bible was translated entirely in Koine Greek. Now, since the Greeks and the Romans give themselves the title of God, question 92, and wrote their Bibles in Greek and Latin, it is not strange for today's Black Christians, etc., to defend their master's book as the word of God. To most of them, the only God they have ever known is the same masters which wrote the Bible and then used the same book to justify the Ma'afa of African enslavement. Actually, the origin of the word of God began as the words of the ancient pharaohs and simply means voice of the ruler of the land. Question 93. People, namely so-called Negroes, who refer to the Bible and the word of God are in fact giving praise to the words of the Greek, words of the Greeks. And through various paganistic forms that are pleasing to themselves, make European white men their God. This does not mean there are no truths in the Bible, quite the contrary. What this means is the Bible is not and was not ever the word of God, but the words of Greeks. It doesn't matter how much the NBC pastor hops, sweats, and spits in the name of Jesus, the letter J, pale-skinned God, and all came from the Greeks and was traumatized into the slaves by their European brothers. It must be remembered in the minds of the Greeks, they were the only gods. As a people, they could not fathom a divine origin and subsequently could not perceive a God greater than themselves, unless it was an African God man whom they called Jehosha till this very day. No European nations ever knew or worshiped the great God. As Drew Ali wrote, man's highest ideal is his God. The Greeks at their greatest were not powerful enough to completely hide the holy light of Africa that was centralized in ancient Kemet, Egypt. Nevertheless, once the truth has been confounded, it is no longer pure and can do more harm than healing. Where the Greeks and other Europeans have fallen short on African comprehensions is for anyone to know the spirit, they must be the spirit. To know the spirit, they must be the spirit. The Greeks, neither Romans nor any of the pale-skinned invaders of the Holy Lands never fully understood the spiritual foundation of Hebrew Aramaic, sister language to Arabic, nor any of the other 200 languages of Akabulan. No, Akabulan means mother of mankind or Garden of Eden. It is in the descendant language Swahili of the ancient Cushites. Akabulan is the indigenous name given to the continent, later misnomered Africa by the Romans. Her first true and divine name is Amexem, which means land of the holy gods or land of the holy people. Most Holy Quran 46:3. The reason for this lack of translation is not because Africans were the primitive monkey-built pagans as portrayed by virtually every European Bible pusher since Constantine 280 to 337 AD. It is simply because they could not understand the boundless spirit realm. They could not measure what they could not see with their carnal eyes. The world of hallowed covenants, holistic cultures, and the line uniting the divinity and matter is incomprehensible to those unable to see inward, see the third eye. This was the foremost lesson for the Adamites to learn. Whenever European rulers fail to understand the infinite and the timeless, they will either try to destroy or distort the subsequent manifest. These thoughts draw strength from the bowels of envy, lust, and hatred. It is in the nature of hatred to be short-sighted, a slave to time, and fearful of anything it does not create. Therefore, the foundation of the Bible rests upon a great conspiracy. It was the amalgamation between the Sanhedrin, beginning with the Caiaphas and the government of Europe rule to nationalize the Jewish religion under the Roman government, the world's greatest cover-up since Adam tried to hide from his maker had begun. Rome's subjugation of Israel's religion is rooted in the first feigned crucified death and resurrection of Rabboni Jehosha. Those Jewish who not conformed to the government's version of Judaism were later called Christians. Not because they were pious like Yehoshua the Christ, but because the title Christian distinguished the rebellious Jews from those willing to compromise under the Roman yoke and law. Yes, that the first Christians were Jews. This is why Yehoshua warned John to beware of those who call themselves Jews and are not, Revelations 2:9. Today, this Roman assumable jurisdiction of civil customs is reenacted in the United States takeover of prohibition and a lottery number games, etc. Remember, selling liquor and running numbers were crimes of felony when acted by American common people, but a government controlled of poor people's pleasures were legalized by the use of one word, license. License is a document of authorization to practice that would otherwise be illegal. Black's Law Dictionary. Oppression can do strange and often unimaginable things to the human mind. Weak-minded Jews became Christians, the same way pork-free African Muslims have become pig-feet-eating Negro Christians of USA today. The powerful effects of oppression have never been truly measured on the minds of the US slaves. The Bible, with the Hebrew Greek version of Adam and Eve, was siphoned from the Israelites during their state of iron hand oppression. The Greeks recognized the Kemetian Egyptian influence in the Mosaic laws because Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, and Hippocrates, hypocrites, let's just put it like that, etc., had all received their formal education in Egypt mystery system, not to mention the notorious Alexander the Greek. The reader should also remember Moses, being raised as an Egyptian aristocrat, received the foremost teachings of its ancient adapt mystery system. These teachings also include of God's self with its power of dominion over all other living things created by the seven eyes of Allah, the Elohim. This is why the Pharaoh's heart appeared hardened. Pharaoh simply knew all the sciences of the God-man, which Moses has mastered before being exiled. The Egyptian sages were simply not impressed with the exploits by one of their former students, who they viewed now as a traitor for taking the secret teachings into the forbidden lands in the north. Yehoshua the prophet also received these lessons, Sunam Bunam, in the Egyptian temples featuring Sutanotni, meaning man know thyself, religious finale. Back to the Greeks. The books of Moses, collectively called the Torah, translated from the Hebrew language containing no vowels into Greek, lost a word of spiritual definition in the very first draft of the Bible's Old Testament. The Greek version of the Holy Bible, called the Septuagint, the Greek word for 70. 70 is also the Egyptian number for brotherhood. The Septuagint acquired its title from the council of 70 rabbis that convened to translate the Torah into low-class Greek language. All subsequent Bibles trickled down from this one, e.g. the Roman Catholic Latin, the infamous King James Version spurned more than 3,000 variations, edited, revised, and fraternal Word of God. Did I mention the Holy Quran and the ancient Bhagavad Gita has never been changed? This history is pertinent to Adam and Eve because most of the westernized world is only aware of the biblical version. Yet the Bible was never written by a single prophet, as are other sacred tablets. This is because every major prophet always leaves a holy book of guidance for their special people. And while most Christian scholars are drenched in a maze of unresolved questions about Adam, Eve, Cain, flood, Moses, the missing 18 years of Jehosha's life, etc., rarely does anyone question who titled the Bible holy in the first place, or who said it was the word of God. Another master question is, since there is no difference between God and his name, who is the God that wrote the Holy Bible? Truth is, the era of Moses was about 1300 BC. The oldest Hebrew story in the Bible only dates back to as little less than 1000 BC. Good gracious. There are pyramids and mounds older than these Hebrew stories. The ancient Sepharian Moabites had circumnavigated the entire continent of a maximum by 8000 BC. There were African civilizations that gave birth to the tribes of Israel, collectively known as Hebrews. In fact, it is not strange that Adam's son Cain already knew his wife, although they were in Nod, east of Eden, Genesis 4:16-17. The entire story of Adam and Eve marks the two great civilizations. The first was during the founding of Atlantis, Lemuria, and Mu. This one was before the catastrophic earthquake, which is often confused with the 40-day biblical month called the flood. When Moses led tribes out of Egypt east into the promised land, did I mention that Moabites were already using Moab and Amorites were busy in Ammon, and there were some Canaanites still in Canaan? In other words, the promised land was already being occupied by natives of that era. And accurate history would also reflect that the promised land was another lawful provenance of ancient Kemet, Egypt. During this time, the only gods of the centralized world were the pharaohs, who were the rulers of the earthland. They were not too pleased with those who called themselves Jews on the land across the sea. It seems the descendants of those self-proclaimed Jews of that era would be repeating the same Exodus 3,300 years later in that 1948 Western-backed proclamation of Islamic occupied land. Case in point, the biblical Hebrew story are not the true origin of the human family. These stories are mostly abstract versions of the divine creation, fall, and perfection of man. These histories of the world were learned by an enslaved people, Hebrews, while under KEMET rule and mystery system. The world's first religious creed, Islamism, by slaves never being greater than their masters, they really understand the origin of or nature of their master's creed. Anyway, the original Hebrews with Moses' Egyptian teachings did not believe that God or man had beginnings, nor did they believe that spirit man could die, not as long as the great God lives. The Egyptians had taught Moses that man is a perfect being. This is why the great Torah is in its original Hebrew text is by far more accurate than today's infamous Word of God. But only a few NBC's NBC people dig back far enough to the origin of a given matter. The truth of the creation or fall of man states time never was when man was not. If life of man at any time began, a time will come when it would end. More Holy Quran, chapter 1. In contrast to this immutable truth, the Greeks' Holy Bible gave God in the beginning, the Greeks' Holy Bible gave God creation and man various time slots, with the Bible's infamous opening alpha passage of in the beginning, Genesis 1:1. In the beginning is the Greek misinterpretation of the Hebrew oral history and begin the start of today's Once Upon a Time. Introduced to some Western stories. Only one kind of person would equate the infinite absolute with the finite duration called time. Perhaps this is why Noble Drew Ali stated, finite minds can't comprehend things infinite. Ironically, the majority of the man-made people, American Negro blacks, have not figured out one major problem. With all the religious and political world rulers, the evangelistic preaching about love for humanity. Why is it that none of the major religious teach them the truth of who they are? But then again, the problem itself has been a secret till now. Now, with some of the biblical discrepancies and other Greek Roman slants to the original man aforementioned, let us now remind ourselves of Africa's Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve, as documentation, is the ancient Kemetic and Moabite record of spirit man descent into human form and conscious liberation back to the all of his God state again. For those Black African Americans, especially stuck in the stupor of disbelief, never question what God's Greek is the Bible truly the word of. They need to review one historical revelation. The modern world is nearly 86% populated by people of olive skin. There are Bibles in all of them, even Islamic countries. Yet how nations and tribes of Africa descent, all people of hue, own and rule their indigenous land without European intervention. But the Bible and its trademark cross are in these places. And who is the economic and more often than not political, social, and religious ruler of their land? How much has truly changed since the era of Brother Jehosha, see Illuminati? So what does this have to do with Adam and Eve? Value, just plain value. Security is what gives a thing value. An accurate, unbiased, and truthful history of any place, person, and time is what gives it value. Security is a manifest of purity, cleanliness, and truth. To see Adam's Ish and Eve Isha in their God state as original man chosen to be made from the soils of Eden, Amexem, Akabulan, Africa, then as the first humans to walk the earth is to know their true history. The true history of Adam and Eve is so indefinitely valuable to the Moorish. These were the children of Adam, Ish, and Eve, Isha, because they honored them as the divine link to their creator. As long as Moorish nations remember their sacred origin, they could not be mentally enslaved. This is why it took the nations of Europe under the Roman Catholic Christian Crusades 2,000 years to break the minds of the Moors and whitewash away Adam and Eve from their memories. In fact, without speaking medical, the Bible is the chief agitator of the whitewashing machine of Adam and Eve. This is the reason they, the prophets, and Yehoshua appear suddenly pale-skinned in the final rinse of the colored churches of today's Vatican subsidiaries. And with this, I will turn the meeting over back to our teacher, Dr. Shedu Amenti Amal Hadi Shabazz Il Islam.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me, grand man?
Islam.
Okay, Islamism. Let me get this thing here back up like I had it. All right. So we give honors to you for the read, Moorish Ken. We give honors to you for everything it is that you do and all that you will do. And I want to show you something, Moors. This gonna be a grand drawing right here. And all that reading was necessary because it gives us a grand history and show you exactly what happened. See, the chairman was most definitely on point. And these are the things that we have to express to people when we begin to tell them, you know, about the remix, so to speak, or like what we call the remix. You see? Let me put this over here. Okay, so I got a grand drawing, Moors, and you Moors gonna love this right here. Help has arrived. You know, when I say help, now that's still us doing the work, but we got a lot of grand drawings on the manifest. All I'm gonna tell you is, like the Grand National Secretary of the State like to say, ooh wee. And I actually just sent you more as a I sent the, you know, the pre, you know, I basically a pre-prepared aspect of dealing with the homework, you know, and you can actually make reference to these sources as we go into them. Let me see if it's gonna let you see this. You know what I can do? I can disable this in a second because I want you. You know what? I already sent it to you, but what I can do, you know, you go to your email and you'll be able to pull it up. And because I got like Demotic dictionary, right? And it ain't a Demotic dictionary in the sense that it's been already published or nothing like that, right? That we'll probably end up having to publish one ourselves. But it's just the letter A right here, though, that I got in my hand right here, 100 pages, right? With the letter A. So it wasn't no need for me to put all the other alphabets in there because it's probably gonna be about big as the book of 5 by the time we get through all the alphabet letters. But ain't nothing wrong with having many resources. So what we're gonna do, and you'll see it in your information. We gave you all of the lessons as well, dealing with, you know, the lessons 1, 2, 3. They go, you know, a long way. We're gonna end up using them. I'm gonna get into that in a minute. But with this letter A, what we're gonna do, we want our Moorish kin to basically write out in letter, you know, which is almost semi-wrote out, but you know, we want them to write out the actual word, you know, that's mentioned here. Like, for example, in the page dealing with the letter A, I started with, and this is just giving you insight so that, you know, you already have this in mind. We're gonna go into the measure in a minute. The letter A, for example, they got different definitions and the way they wrote them out. Then you'll see them coupled with letters like E and the Y. So you would simply put, for example, if you see the symbol that's normally seen in the Demotic, which they give 2 of them, which I actually have 2 in the abjad sequence that I put together, that should help the Moors too. Because we actually, well, you can actually arrange this in abjad sequence if you print them out or whatever. You know, you can print them out and then put them in the abjad sequence in that way. But yeah, you have like the letter A and W. So in other words, you find the word all, you know, like all as in AWE, all in praise, like all. He was in awe, you know, and they use the term praise here, you know, as well for the definition. Then you have another one, A and E, which is dealing with praise as well. And then when you add the WE to it, it becomes below. But, you know, then you have A and Y here, you know, and then it actually is similar to the one, the AWY. So it's showing different germinations of the word that change in forms. But I actually wrote, the A and the Y out, so we're going to have our family do the same thing with these alphabets. And I actually wrote them all out, all 100 pages, a few days ago. So if you just going to go beside it, you'll get the kick of it. It don't take long once you get it. You just start writing them on the side, and that will give you the ability to be able to better pronounce it. Because looking at the symbol on side of the letter, yeah, we could do that, having the knowledge of what we have, but it'll be better to have the Moors write it out. Also, to become familiar with writing out the transliteration anyway. So like I say, man, it's words upon words, and they also got meanings. The advanced aspect of this, which I didn't put in the document I just sent out, is that, you can take these words and go and compare them. Remember how we talk about how a lot of words have been put in the dictionary of E. Wallace Budge, and a lot of them are Coptic and Demotic, so you can go back into those dictionaries, and look for the roots in some of these letters and make a comparison. That would be a more advanced drawing. We can do that later. You don't have to do that for homework, but it would be helpful and give you probably even better definitions, so to speak. The ones that the Coptics basically put in the dictionary, that he claimed as his own. So we'll get to that later. And also we'll end up showing the cognitive roots to some of these words and how they relate to, what people call Arabic and Hebrew and so forth and so on. Because this is how we will begin building our works up. Also, with this information, we can actually look at words that relate to our Moorish Holy Quran, because that's the ultimate draw. You see, like we go into certain chapters, certain ayats, we can probably find out the words that we already have, because they have whole sentences in that lesson book that I sent to the Moors. Well, we can actually even try to even start doing a little communication in the Demotic. With the resources they got, we can actually do some, some basic greeting and conversation with it, and we'll get into that later. But man, it's just so much. I'm overflowing over here, like the sister Curta Bay say. I'm just filled up. It's long. So yeah, that's one of the things that we want to work on. I want to show you something else too. I want to share my screen here briefly, show y'all what I came across, and I didn't even see this until recent. How we talk about ears? Man, the ears were really sacred to our ancestors in ancient Kemet. You see, they got, a few sets up here, like 5 sets of ears, right? And they in stone. So it let you know it was important to listen. This is a grand drawing. And I say that because we, when we set out to demonstrate the Egyptian adeptus research Sultanate, and it came into ears, that's another thing. But now we see the ears were most definitely sacred, so we're going to have to definitely, put something together, even in regards to dealing with this here. Our ancestors really took the ears. Look at it, the goddess up here paying homage to the ears. So you see how deep our people was. They really didn't take these things for granted, family. They didn't just look at these things as just mere things that's on the body. They were really sacred to our people, So I just wanted to show that to the family to give some insight as well. That's a very powerful demonstration. So when you say ears now, it take on a whole new meaning on it. Written in stone. Okay. So let me give this to our family, because I actually sent a lot of this stuff over. And who all got what I just sent to their email before I even open up the floor?
Islam, Grandman. Yo, Muhammad Bey, I got it. I have one question, Grandman.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as I saw you, there's 3 different files that you sent out.
Right.
And yeah, okay. I was trying to maybe my lack of haven't been around, so I'm trying to catch up. So which file, in reference to the subject matter you were just talking about in dealing with that letter A, which one of the files is that? because I can see where you handwritten, like you said, you know, certain things in there. It's 3 different files. Is that the one with the abjad or
the file that says Demotic Dictionary, Chicago.
Okay. Gratitude, Grand Man. That's the only question that I had.
Yeah, that's the letter A. Okay, Islam. Any other more? Did everybody get it?
Islam, I see it. Islam.
I received it. Islam.
Okay. Okay, is there anybody that didn't get this file I just sent? Okay.
Gratitude for checking.
Most definitely.
Attitude.
Islam.
Yeah, I got it.
Islam.
I
Gratitude.
got it as well.
Praise be to Allah. Islamism without the skills. Well, all right. Since everybody got it, we can move forward and go into actually touching on a few of these things that we have here. Hold up, let me get this here out the way here. Miss Ryan, I'll get that up. Okay, here. See here. Let me share my screen. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go back to first and foremost what I put together and where we left off at. And actually, now that we have, you know, the dictionary aiding, we'll be able to make more sense of the letters that we actually find. As you see, the letter is right there at the top, and then you can see them, you know, in front of each word that's being stated. You can see, and that's just dealing with the letter A. And you will be able to, like I said, write the words out, you know, in the normal way that you would be able to see them. And that's going to make it easier for you to be able to pronounce the word. So nevertheless, what we have here is where I put everything in abjad order. All you have to do is when you go to getting these different measures, like I just sent out, you can just arrange, you know, the alphabet in abjad order as I send them out to you, Moorish kin. We don't want to put too much on our Moorish kin plate at one time. Okay, so yeah, this is what we have here. I was showing, you know, the abjad, and this was, you know, taking a strenuous task, and we can see a lot of this stuff was the same way. And what happened is when you see double letters in here that go in between the abjad sequencing, this is just a repeat of other letters, and this is the order that they had them in. So I just put it that way. But the abjad sequencing is most definitely in the alphabet. And this also gives you the idea of see various different forms of what we was able to find, pardon self, in regards to dealing with these letters. So when you look into the abjad, keep that in mind. This is also another good resource right here to deal with, which you'll see it in here. You can blow it up. You can see it has demotic and hieratic beside each other. So, you know, that'll also give you certain practices or whatever. When we get into that area right there, you'll be familiar with it. We always tell you, don't even worry about the symbols that they put on the side of them, unless you want to use them as markers to be able, because that's all they are. Markers, you know, created to identify the letters. They're not the actual script or language itself. You know, if that would aid you in doing whatever you're doing, all is well. We just don't understand that to be the language. And mashallah, who knows, this right here might be the first thing that we try to get together to transliterate here. The Gospel of Thomas, this portion here. That's a whole nother measure there. So yeah, we wanted to just get our family on this drawing here. This was Champolion's version when he had put all the alphabet beside the Coptic. You know, that's how we was able to come up with our abjad, which even though now that we have, you know, the dictionary, you know, it ain't necessary to go through that, but praise be to Allah, you know, we find out as we were going through the letters by looking at the actual dictionary that we were in fact right about everything that we said when we put it together. So praise be to Allah. Like I say, this is stuff that nobody else is teaching. Nobody is teaching the Demotic language. You see, nobody is teaching the Demotic language, Morris Ken. Everybody is stuck on the pictorial script, and all that is Ptolemaicism, basically, because we already know the Rosetta Stone didn't come, you know, until 337 BC, 333 BC. The language, you know, the Kemites had already been around by that time. So if you find Ptolemy's name in the inscription of the Rosetta Stone, that's a dead giveaway that that didn't come from the ancient ancestors, because there were no Ptolemies in the old kingdom of ancient Kemet. So that pretty much deads, you know, any thought of them deciphering, you know, the language, because you decipher the language that was basically put together by Ptolemy. You didn't decipher anything that had to do with the ancient time. You ain't even translated Heretic or Demotic. So now don't it make sense when we tell you what we tell you? You see, and so the people are waking up. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna show you something. I'm finna give you a prime example. This is very key and very important, because I had a brother, you know, he challenged the demonstration on the word more. And when we had a discussion not long ago, I'm pulling up real quick, I'm gonna show it to you. I'm gonna show you what happened when I asked him about the Demotic language. Now this is supposed to be somebody that everybody trying to hold up as, you know, I guess they think he's a master in metal netter. You know what I mean? So let me see it right here. Okay. This is gonna give a prime example of what I'm talking about. I have people out here saying they know the language, but they don't really know the language, family. They don't know the language. I'm trying to get up here. Give me 1 second. All right, you hear me, Morris Ken?
Islam.
Okay, gratitude, Islamism. Okay, let me share my screen here. Okay, so this was a conversation between this brother. He had come on here, you know, not here, but he had come on the net in reference to a measure I set out about the Moors. Now, I'm gonna tell you what I found out is the reason why this brother came out to attack, you know, what I put forth on the Moors, because years ago, somebody had already been trying to demonstrate with him on the same thing I'm telling him now. And he was in denial then. So when he seen me come forth in the community teaching this, you know, he automatically had a bias there. I didn't know it at the time we was having this discussion. I had to find that out later. But what happened is he wrote a book on, you know, his rebutting or trying to go against the measure dealing with the Moors. You know, for whatever reason, he feel the need be to write a book, you know, to try to go against the Moors. And so this makes all the sense as to why he would try to stand in defense, because what I'm saying is actually though I don't know him, never heard of him, is debunking his book. So that's why he's taking the stance. And if he making money off of what I put out here, you can see where that right there go. So listen to the conversation between me and the brother, you know, because they went and got him, you know, when I started challenging the MATHENO'S, you know, and so forth and so on.
So I'm putting forth that these are titles or appointments given to people that can be taken away from them as well. If you're one that's indigenous to the land anymore, that can't be really, that's like a race, so that
Now,
can't be taken away from you.
Remember, I said to you that the word had different meanings. I didn't settle on one, right? I mentioned that as the way that we define it now. And I said that the term overseer is one of the terms, and there are a couple of more I'm going to show you coming from my book that I'm actually compiling now. I want to show you from my book dealing with certain words so you can have the clear understanding, because I make it very plain. And I began to write this because of what I see. So let me share my screen real quick first and foremost. And then we'll get into other measures in a second. Okay, you see my screen being shared right here, family? You see that?
I can see
it's up. Okay, now, I'm gonna start right here where I laid the basis in. Now, the high priest of Anu, Amen, also, you see? Now, when we go into this particular drawing, I ain't gonna even go there because that ain't relevant. That's more science right there. But I will go right here to show you the definition of the name dealing with Amen. This is not the only place that is used. You know, not just with Amen, it's also used for the priesthood. Now, would you agree that priests are people, right?
But I agree that priests are people.
That's right. Are priests men? Are they
Yes,
literal
priests
people?
are men, but I wouldn't agree that this source that you
Yeah,
have on the screen.
I understand. That's good. You good. But I'm just asking you, you agree that priests are men, right?
Yes, sir.
It's obvious that we don't agree with a lot of things based on the fact that, you know, I don't agree with everything E. Wallace Budge say. And that's why I'm in here. And E. Wallace Budge wasn't even the one that translated what they say he translated. You see? So first and foremost, while I'm showing you this, because I'm getting ready to go, this is what you went over. You broke it down one time, right? And you said it was a different thing other than what I was saying, correct? Mm-hmm. So now, you read MATHENO'S. Mm-hmm. Can you transliterate that, my brother?
Yeah, that's a process, though.
No,
we was just doing that today. That's what we're doing on my page.
What letter is this right?
But Trent, again, that's a process.
Yeah, I understand that, but what letter? I'm just asking you for one answer.
I don't even know what letter that is, and you didn't know it either until you.
Now you see how the brother automatically got on the defensive soon as I asked him to transliterate or translate one letter from this Demotic language, because he don't know. And he just said it, he don't know. And then it's like, you didn't know it. Of course I didn't know. I had to study just like you. And I still wouldn't have been knowing, you know, if I thought that symbols was the language. On the other hand, I'm trying to tell him the difference between the two and listen to how it goes.
You went through the process of translating. Let me finish. Until you went through the process of transliterating hieratic back into MATHENO'S. What do we say? What do we say we speak? MATHENO'S, right? What do we see on the screen?
You say you speak MATHENO'S, but
we read MATHENO'S. What do we see on the screen? That's not MATHENO'S. That's a different script.
It's MATHENO'S, but a different form.
A different script.
It's a different form. So I'm asking you, if you know your script, then you should know what language.
No, that's a complete different script, and I think you're misrepresenting. Just so I can finish. I think you're misrepresenting your knowledge of Demotic and the MATHENO'S, as well as acting like, all right, let's not go to the first line. Let's go to the third. Let's go to the fourth line on here, and you tell me what that means.
I'm not trying to debate.
You see, let's go to the fourth line, and you tell me what's the first word in the fourth line.
I'm not trying to debate you, right? What I'm asking you simply, can you read this? I'm asking you this for a reason. You said no.
I read MATHENO'S, right? I read
MATHENO'S. But you don't read the alphabet.
which is the glyphs. Hold
You
on,
don't read
hold
the
on,
alphabet, right?
hold
I'm just
on.
asking a question.
Let's not compound the questions because I want to answer you.
No, I'm
people
asking the
can get
same question. I just
understand it. Everybody don't know what we're going through right now.
Yeah, I agree with you.
What you just put on the screen appears to be a hieratic script, correct?
No, that's not hieratic, my brother.
I said it appears to be a hieratic
But
script.
it's not hieratic.
Well, if it's not hieratic, why are you saying it's MATHENO'S?
It is because all
Demotic
of us,
has never been
I can
called
show you.
MATHENO'S.
Yes, it was, brother. It's
No,
called-
not
listen,
MATHENO'S.
listen, brother.
Oh,
The
bro,
Egyptians
you don't
called
even know
all
who
of
you're
their
talking
language.
to. And you
Brother,
about to
the
prove it.
Egyptians, and I'll show it to you. But I'm telling you right now,
All
that
right,
this is not hieratic, my brother.
all right,
So
regardless.
what I'm showing
I
you,
said I read MATHENO'S. That's not
Yes.
MATHENO'S.
yes, let me show you something, brother.
All right, hey, hold up, Magi. Let him finish, and then I'm gonna let you come right in.
I just
One mic, one mic.
Yeah, one mic. So I'm showing you, brother, all of these texts that you have that you call in MATHENO'S were translated from alphabets and not those symbols, brother. And I'm gonna prove
That's
that.
not true.
I'm gonna prove that in a minute
That's
because
not
I
true.
see you don't really know who you're talking to.
That's
So,
not true. Well,
this
can I ask
is-
you a question? Because you're gonna
Brother,
go
let me
over.
finish. You ain't even let this side just tell you it's one mic.
We give us one mic, but can
You
I
ain't
ask
let
you a
me
question
finish. I
about the
asked you a
text
question,
before you
now
go
you're
on?
moving all over the place. Go ahead, I'm gonna let you.
I asked you
I'm gonna
what
be
script
honorable.
is that? You said this was
I'm finna
MATHENO'S.
tell you. If you let me, I'm finna tell you what script it is.
What script is it?
This is
You
the
don't-
Demotic script. my brother.
Exactly. That's not
Now,
MATHENO'S.
it's not hieratic though. You said it
It's
was
not
hieratic.
MATHENO'S.
Now let me show you something. I'm gonna get to that.
Hold
now.
on.
All right, hold up, Magi.
So you see, the brother's so on the fence. Every time I try to say something, he won't even let me finish saying what I'm saying. Because now the ego has kicked in. I'm supposed to know MATHENO'S, and now I'm putting this out here in front of him, and he don't even know what it is. So if these texts, for example, or these alphabets were used to transliterate, a message, into a language, and then you using symbols that don't deal with these particular papyri, like we showed our family before, you're not translating the text. So if you don't know this and you reading it the way the Europeans say read it, you lost. And that's why it's a whole bunch of volumes of information that haven't been translated yet. A lot of that stuff ain't even been, because they don't know it. They don't teach this in the Kemetic community. None of the Kemetic community teach what we doing right now. We are the first. The Moors and the Moorish American government are the first that are actually teaching these people how to go into the actual text. So, all right, we're gonna go ahead and move forward.
Brother, hold on for a minute. Hold on, brother. I'm gonna get ready. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Time out, y'all. I'm gonna put the mic up right now. I tried to let y'all go, but I'm gonna put the mic up, and I'm gonna give y'all time.
That's right.
On the clock, and then that way y'all can speak, and then Magi, you could come with your slides as well. And so I'm gonna give y'all 6 minutes apiece because it's not a debate. It's just a discussion y'all having. And so I'm gonna give y'all 6 minutes apiece.
That's right.
And then with no interruptions, unless the person is asking a question, and then y'all can come on in. So as of right now, Kamison, I'm gonna let you go ahead and finish.
Yes, sir.
You got 6 minutes, my brother.
All right, thank you, brother. And Magi, I ain't trying to come at you on a debate. I'm trying to show you something, brother. I'm your brother. So what I'm showing you here, this is the Gospel of Thomas, right? According to this book. Now we know Thomas, was one that exists close to the time of our brother Yeshua. For those who believe, some of our people don't believe that. But if that's the case, that would mean this text is, basically around the mark of almost 2,000 years old. But this is actually a whole text out here. And I got the translation of it up here as well. So if this is the case, this automatically debunks the date the European like to use when they say that, Demotic came into existence like 65, what they say 650 BC or 600 BC. You know what I mean? So that's one of the things I don't trust about the European. Now, what else I'm going to show you, because I actually put this in the proper order right here. This is Abjad order, family. Excuse me. Yeah, this is abjad order right here, dealing with the actual alphabet. This is Champoleon's version, right? When he was trying to compare the Demotic to the Coptic language, or the Hicopta, because that's also a language that comes from our people, originally before the Greeks came and got involved. So I put everything in abjad order. That's the A in Coptic, that's B, G, and D. That's where they get the A, B, C, D from, right? Then you have A, B, G, and D, and H. So I put everything in the order with the symbols and what they represent. And with this script, I can successfully transliterate, this is special mention. You see what I'm saying? All it takes is not hard as people try to make it. Like the brother said, it's a process. It ain't something you can do overnight. But, if you're familiar with this, you can say, for example, oh, well, that's a letter, that's the letter M right there. You can point letters out and say, that's the letter K right there. You can do that right there when you're familiar with the script. In the same way I'm able to identify them letters, I can translate word by word in transliteration, taking my time, and do it. So, and I see I'm at the 5:15, I was at the 5:13 mark. I wanted to make that point right here for you, brother, so that you can see that this is the actual language. Now, a lot of people think these symbols are metuneta in the sense that they are a language. These are meant to be understood as metaphysics. In other words, if you understand the nature of an eagle, study the nature of the eagle, and you would know that an eagle, basically has certain characteristics. Same with a crane. You can use a spiritual metaphysical definition to deal with a bow. You don't need a dictionary or alphabet in order to explain a bow from a spiritual standpoint. I can describe your mind as a sacred bowl that holds the intelligence, which represented cosmic waters of knowledge. I just spoke that without even saying anything about the alphabet. I'm just giving a metaphysical interpretation of it. I can use the hand and say, well, the hand is symbolic to the mind due to its ability to shape a thing, mold a thing, be able to hold on or grasp a thing. I can say a whole bunch of things about these symbols without using alphabet. This, my brother, is actual alphabet. What I showed you in the Demotic is actual alphabet. If you're not reading the herein, or if you're not reading the Demotic, you read E. Wallace Budge's remix. And I'm familiar with that. And so I'm not trying to translate symbols, which I know that ain't right. I got documents to prove what I'm saying. So they put this on the side as markers. They say, okay, well, this eagle looks similar to this letter right here. So we're going to use that as a marker to identify. This crane look similar to this. We know good well that crane don't look nothing like that alphabet. We know this bowl don't look nothing like that alphabet. We know this hand don't look nothing like that alphabet. They say, okay, this one right here, we can really get it. Let's compare that. But what happened to the other thousands of alphabetical so-called symbols? If you're dealing with alphabetical symbols, how do you fit them in the realm of 24? Oh, we call them determinatives, and we call them trilaterals and bilaterals. Them European rules, brother, that were added to those things, during the time of Champollion and then going into the Ptolemaic system. Ptolemy's name wouldn't have been in an ancient Egyptian document because Ptolemy didn't exist during the Old Kingdom. So everything that you have on transliterating comes straight from Champollion and the Ptolemies. That's why I call most of these brothers Egyptolomites. See, I'm going and uprooting what this European did and going back to do something that nobody in the Kemetic community has did, and that's trying to translate and transliterate the alphabet. They got you looking for symbols when you should be looking for alphabets. And that's why you've been so misled. And also they got the idea of putting this together from the Canaanite script, or what they call Proto-Sinaitic and Proto-Canaanite. So when I go back to the root of the word more and mirror and mar and all of that right there, etymology, also tracing back to these words that actually come from, the original text, as opposed to some symbols, even though they have symbols that represent them according to the European, I don't honor that. So I'm working on transliterating the actual language instead of playing with symbols. If I want to look at them symbols, all I got to do is go out the door and read the book of creation. I can look at snakes in my yard. I can look at, things around me, the ants crawling and all over the ground, building sand dunes. I can look at that and say, well, hey, this is somebody that I feel like. Go ahead, brother. Peace and love.
All right. Let's share your screen.
Yes,
let's
sir.
get with my brother. Let's get it in. The Magi is in the building. Magi, you got 6 minutes.
Man.
Go ahead, brother.
So can you see my screen?
Not yet.
I just want to say, share
see
my
your
screen.
screen.
Almost everything the brother said was wrong.
All right, your time started.
Can you hear me? Almost everything the brother said was incorrect. The first thing the brother put on the screen was this definition saying it means Amen is what? Whatever you want to call it, or more, whatever you want to do. But what he did for us was display he don't even know how to read an Egyptological dictionary. That's what he did. Because this Amen ain't about no God like he had on his photograph. As a matter of fact, if y'all want me to display this, this is how Bud cites his source. But instead of going through...
Now, you see this here. Everybody that know anything about Amen knows that Amen is mostly depicted, as a principle of the natural. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. Now what you gonna see this brother do, he gonna take a modern digitized version of these definitions of the words and then say, oh, it means this. In other words, a European moving the egg crate, or moving you to another slot in the egg crate, so to speak, that they created. And then they're gonna basically redefine the word more. And that's gonna be his end all be all, so to speak. Yet all the other scholars, E. Wallace Budge, Gardiner, those who had come forth with dictionaries, they all identify amen in the word of more or mar as being the same. And this was given to them by the Coptic Christians. So anything digitized now is full of a remix of regurgitation of what was already said by these previous people who got it from the Coptics. And then other measures where they take out certain things. It ain't no difference. What they do in this digitized version, this brother gonna bring forth is no different than what's been done with the King James Bible, where you take a portion and you revise it and then make it a new definition. So if it said one thing before and you take a different definition out of it, like, they use the term, if you ever was into the drawing of during the time of the NBC state, what they call the blackness of the Bible. When one was in the NBC state, one would say, oh, it says, I'm black, oh, comely daughters of Jerusalem. But in certain translations, they come back and replace that word with the word swarthy. You see, a fair complexion. You know what I mean? So this is no different in this digitized version. And it's crazy on how disingenuous, our people can be, because you put these things before the masses that are unsuspecting and they don't know what's going on. And they'll run with it if they don't know no better. But when you know better, you do better.
All the rigorous work, we're going to show you how we can do this easy, right? Because, again, excuse me, my dog is stepping in here. We're going to go to Thesaurus Lingua Aegypti and just simply pull up the term that I'm sure he know how to transliterate so well, right? And so we're going to pull up that term, and guess what it's going to show? It's going to show how bad research the brother do. See, here go the exact glyphs that he just had up on the screen when he first started his stuff talking about mar, but it means to write. It don't mean shit about no amen. Who want me to prove that? Because all you got to do is go back to this and learn how to read a dictionary, and you'll see where it says amen right here. It got 2 more letters. It got 19 and 5. These are the columns Budge sorts for this word that he didn't give a definition to from Amenehet, line 19 and 5. In order to prove that, we're going to go to a text corpus and see how many attestations they got on this term where the glyphs match exactly. 1 attestation, quite lovely, huh? I wonder what this 1 attestation serve us well. Let's see. 1 attestation of the use of this term, mar, to do your damn taxes or whatever. Look, maru, to write in the book, the one attestation, time it was used is where? I want to show you how to read this. Ma'aru, describe. That's what it means. First of all, I don't mean nothing about no more. Let me make my screen smaller. It is from the teaching of Amen Ope, okay? Amen that you see here is the source that Budge put here. And I'm going to corroborate it with these two numbers. What, Si, you see two numbers on the screen?
Yes.
What numbers you see on the screen?
19 and 5.
Okay, we're going to go over here. Si, you see numbers up here?
Yes, 19 and 5.
So they're telling you that the 19 and 5 was line 19.5 from the teachers of Amenope. But you're on YouTube telling everybody the God of Saw was black because you do work like that. See?
And ain't now area where I done told some people all Saw was black. I don't know where he come up with that. But you can hear all the ad hominems and this is how people get.
And I ain't even, I bet I ain't even did a second of my time. So let's throw that right out the window. Never ever return back to this E.A. Wallace bug source telling people Amen was a Moor or whatever you have here. Now let's deal with some more of your claim. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I wasn't ready either, but you said that what you put on the screen was metal nature. Everybody know we only and always make claims to read metal nature. I ain't never said I read no Demotic. And Demotic is the last form of that script, coming out way later. You ain't got no Demotic like you got pyramid text in the 3rd century BC. Demotic is the last form. If anybody come, and Demotic was called Sesh in Shat. Medu Necher is called Medu Necher. So don't let motherfuckers act like Commission Adele, my brother, good brother. Oh my. You saw I just beat up
2 minutes.
Okay. We just beat up the Asar claim. Let's see if we can find some more of his claim. The brother said more comes from Mar. That's incorrect. You got like 5 different Egyptian definitions that start with an MR. You only, and you try to take all of them and say that they mean more. Overseer more means MER. You said the oldest sheep was in KEMET. You mean somebody who was like a cattle herder and Mudar, the ancient language, comes from Medu Necher. Demonstrate that. But one thing you should know is you was completely incorrect for putting Demotic on the screen for somebody who say they read Medu Necher and not understanding the anachronisms that you just espoused by putting forth the last script. Besides Coptic, because Coptic come after that, you put the second to last Kemetic script on the screen talking about what's this first number, because you only was familiar with the first number. I challenge you to go down to the 4th line and tell me what that first word was, and you couldn't say anything. And so don't take my energy the wrong way. A lot of people do that. This is just how we spit that fire back. You understand? I don't want nobody thinking like I'm trying to bark on you back 100 throughout. No, it ain't that. That's just my energy, everything. And I'll say that to everybody.
All right, brother Commission, you want to respond, brother? Unmute yourself.
Yes, sir. We most definitely gonna respond, sir. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna share my screen first and foremost.
Okay.
You know, to give our brother some clarity. We want to make sure he get it like it is, like it's supposed to be. And let me show you something, brother, since you seen E. Wallace.
The screen is sharing.
It's there?
Yep, let me know when you're ready. Time will start.
I'm ready right now.
All right,
Since
time
our
start.
brother got so much faith in E. Wallace Budge, like I say, I read his material. That's why, you know, I know what's going on. Now, I just showed you a Demotic text. And you quoting E. Wallace Budge, and I just tried to give you a window out, but you didn't want to listen. See, he said, among the words given in this dictionary are many which are derived from what? Demotic text. This is what he's telling you. Among the words given in this dictionary are many which are derived from what? Demotic text. Now you just cut yourself, because I showed you Demotic, and you couldn't read it. You say that ain't meta, but yet Wallace Budge is telling you that the words, and let me say it again, among the words given in this dictionary are many which are derived from Demotic texts. As my knowledge of this branch of Egyptology is rudimentary, I have relied for the correctness of their transcription into hieroglyphs, chiefly upon the works of that of erratic genius, guesswork. Transcription, family, means to basically hide something. Look up the word transcribe. How you gonna transcribe a language into hieroglyphics and claim that you transliterate? Okay, let me go on. I'm gonna drive home this hammer of truth real quick. These scholars have shown that demontologists are able to transcribe Demotic text into hieroglyphs. That's what they did. Put a symbol beside the alphabet. Wallace Budge is saying this, not me. And Birch's view that they were unable to do this is no longer tenable. So he's telling you it comes from Demotic. So anybody that listen to you, brother, and they deny this, they in denial. But the general opinion of men will never alter the nature of the truth. I don't care if you don't like me. You ain't got to like the Moors, but I'm putting it out here for those who want to see it. About the correctness of the meanings of many Demotic words given by them, there can be no doubt, for the equivalence of a great number of them and their counterparts in form are to be found even in existing Coptic scaling, which means he was using Coptic as well. He also draw from Hebrew. He also draw from Arabic. He also draw from a lot of things. And I can show you some Hebrew names in the language, which I'm gonna do in a minute because I know it's gonna be in the now. So this is what Budge said. He said every methodological arrangement, however arbitrary, has the advantage of bringing together such words as nearly resemble each other. And it appears most likely to be subservient to the purpose of future investigation, to employ an imitation of an alphabetical order or an artificial alphabet. My God. You know what that artificial alphabet is, brother? Founded upon the resemblance of characters of those which the phonetic value was clearly and correctly determined by the late Mr. Ackerman. That's who actually first translated or had a first dictionary before Champollion, if you know the history of it. You see, so all this stuff here is different orders that they shuffle in creating this. Our ancestors didn't do that. Our ancestors didn't put that together, they did. That's why they don't have it in the Abjad order. Abjad meaning it don't begin with A, B, G, and D. So anytime you see that, that's how you can tell an alphabet has been remixed. So this is where they got the concept of these alphabets being symbols from, because the Canaanites were in Egypt. And when they came out of Egypt, they took these symbols and they created an alphabet with it, not the Egyptians.
2 minutes.
The Canaanites did. And that's it right there. And this is the alphabet that Wallace Budge used, which I can go to the tablets right now, right here. These symbols right here. Yes, sir. Also, he said, now the exact meaning of many words is unknown and only can be guessed at by the context. This is what Wallace Budge said. Where no probable Coptic equivalent is forthcoming does not in any meaning suggested, there's little else to the result of guesswork. So this man guessed in majority of his meanings. A lot of this stuff was translated by the demontologists who were really Coptic Christians, and that's how his dictionary was compiled. Did you know that by Wallace Budge, my brother? So when you say you don't respect the Demotic and you don't read the Demotic, yet the words that he translated come from the Demotic, make it make some sense, bro. You sounded like Jabari over there. You see? So unfortunately, I possess none of the qualifications necessary for such a great work except in a very limited degree. Nevertheless, I have written this dictionary. And how I came to do so, the following paragraphs will show. I'll stop right there to show you that Demotic was used to compose the dictionary. This brother say he don't deal with the Demotic. So how are you reading that or that? Oh, you going off his interpretation because you trust Master, right? I'll stop right there.
Damn, that was sad.
All
Your
right.
brother just showed us. You can start the clock whenever you want. I probably won't need it all. He just showed us nut, but he don't know the difference between a language and a script. That's what he just showed everybody, right? Live on Sonetta TV. He got the words from the Demotic. What he's reading the Demotic script and went back to match them with words in MATHENO'S to come up with the meaning. So you know that, right? The difference between a script and a language, Demotic is the script. The same words are said in MATHENO'S that are said in Demotic. So when he didn't have no source on how to find a MATHENO'S word, you can look into the Demotic because it survives later, like I said, and you never refuted that. You tried to act like Demotic was old. Demotic is one of the second most recent form of the ancient Egyptian language. Nor did you want to speak on the way that I threw out that Asar Moore claim that you came with. I just tossed it out and you completely ignored it. It said I was relying on buds when in all actuality, I was showing how you were misusing buds. You feel me? And we ain't never yet said nothing about the MR glyphs because I'm pretty sure we're going to avoid that since we want to put Demotic up on the screen to display how we read Demotic. I think we could slap up some MATHENO'S to see how good you are with reading that. You know what I'm saying? If you don't mind. So I don't got much to say on this. Again, like I said, I do love I love discourse. You feel me? I love building on the subject. So let's not get it twisted, but I didn't, like I said at first, even behind the scenes, I didn't just necessarily come to debate. Like I ain't got hella stuff on the screen for you. But you ain't said nothing about my claims. You couldn't respond to the Asar, the first thing you put on the screen that I threw that out. Demotic is a script, but the same language is being spoken throughout MATHENO'S, hieratic, Demotic. So the reason why Budge went to Demotic to give us an ancient Egyptian dictionary on MATHENO'S was because, again, we got a lot of more recent attestations in the Demotic to where you could go say, oh, they called, what does this mean? It say Kim in MATHENO'S. I don't know, but when we look at the Demotic text, they say Kim is black. That's easy enough work. That's easiness. You never said nothing. Oh, I want you to show us that oldest sheet. I want you to speak towards the MR root and glyphs. But again, you're not here at my behest. These are just things that I want to build on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm going to show that to you right now. Let me show you the sheet first. And then we'll get to the other stuff. And sorry, you can begin my time when my screen goes sharing. All right, brother?
Yes, I got you.
All right, okay. Let me get this open for you right here real quick. And family in the box. Don't just go forth and be biased just to be biased. Go look up what I'm saying. Because I ain't going to never tell you nothing that I can't show you. Trust that. One thing I'm going to do is show and prove every time. Now, whether you accept...
Like the video. Thumb up the video.
What you do with this is on you after that. My job is to tell you the truth, family. Here go the screen share right here. So.
All right, I see it. The screen is sharing.
That's it. Okay, here we go right here.
The time is started.
This is the brother. Right here, 4,500 years ago, 2,500 BC. Sheikh El Baled Ka'apar in the Old Kingdom, family. This brother bore the title. Now, if you think that this is a game, wait till I pull up what I'm going to pull up in a second. This is it here, right? This ain't something I made up. Go and look it up, family. Go and look, even if you don't like it, even if you don't like the Moors, go look up what I said. You ain't got to put no more interpretation on it. Now watch this. I'm finna show you something, my brother. Let me help you out real quick. Oh, actually, I already got it open. Dealing with the root of the word, or the Mari, dealing with the Mari family. What you fail to realize, again, like I showed you in the video before, you know, when you go into the history of each one of these seeds, you know, that they like to use biblically, there was always a tribe that dealt with the M&R root. If you take the E out of that and the U out of it, you have M&R. If you take the E, O, and the E, the E, O, and the E out of Meru, you have also M&R. If you take the A and the U out, you have M and R. If you take the E and the R out, in other words, if you remove the vowel from each of these names, which are people, these are people right here. You see, you're gonna get M and R. These are the who became known as your Moabites here, the Amaru. These, the Mar, became known as the Numidians. These, who are known as Mar and Mera or Tamaray, were known as Hekapta, the Moors, and these over here were known as the Seba or the Sabians. So now let me go into this special demonstration in my book now, back to what we was in the beginning. Who were the M and R, the Mar, the Mir, the Mera, the Meri, Meru of ancient Kemet? Mar, the grand hierophant of Amun. From the above, we can see that from olden times, since time immemorial, for itself, it says the title derived from the root M and R. It says, transliterated as Mar, was conferred upon Amen, and I did this just dealing with the vowels, A-E-I-O-U. You know, it says himself being one of the oldest Neteru to be venerated since the acceptance of the ancient Kemetian practice of the adept deification of man. This practice continued in succession of those who were initiates, became high priests of his order who followed the traditions of preserving the universal laws of Ma'at under the auspices of the sacred teachings of the ancient rite of the Egyptian adept masters. Mir, title of the high priest of Amun. It is universally embraced that the high priest who came through the line of succession as their apparent, as the heir apparent rather, of Amen received the title Mir in reference to their station of inheritance. Mir in transliteration as their station of occupancy, it says, is also linguistically traced to the root M and R, where Mir is also translated as gods and goddesses, keepers of the seal, sheiks of tribes, chiefs of caravans, inspectors of dignitaries, overseers, or beloved of. See, all of these names were given to these people in the same dictionary this brother talking about. So you had Mir Pir, which means chief of the house. Those are people. Mir Pir, which means chief steward. Mir Pir Unu, overseer. Mir Pir Het, overseer of the silver foundry. All these are people. Mir Ma'al. Mir Ma'al. It also says overseer of the servants. It says on a temple or state of private property. Mir Mekin. It says chief of royal cabinet. All of these are people, family. You see, port master, harbor master. See, this is the one working on the water. Overseer of the blacksmith. Mir Masetim. It says Mir Shapu. General, commander of an army. You remember he was talking about Amir? Title of the high priest of Mendes, which is Mir Shapu. So as we go on, we can go all up into this special demonstration, brother. And it all has to do with positions, authority, so forth and so on. Now, if we go a little further than this particular drawing here to the next phase, we understand as well that also Mir has to do with beloved one. See it right here? It's all up here. This is all this talking about, beloved Mary. You know, it also goes into the land, you know, Ty Mary.
1 minute.
You know, it goes into Meruti. It goes into Meriti, Mera. It got a whole bunch of them. Look, Meru. It goes into a whole bunch of definitions on here, right? The priest of Mary, Mary Meru of the 18th dynasty. Look this stuff up, family. You see, here, he said Mera never refers to a land. Mera, the name of Egypt. Didn't I just show you that in that picture with the bust of the heads of the brothers there? Huh? Merur, Nimor, Me'ari, Meru. They have all these terminologies that's used here, family. You can't get around it. You know, Mir, Amen. There go your man right there referring to Amen as Mir again, right? You see that? That's a person right there. Check. That's so-called determinative. You see? So, man, come on, bro. What are you saying? What do you say? Holy jack in the box.
All right. We got my brother coming back.
And then we can just build because I don't want people to like, you know. Well, here we go. Look, check it out. Ain't that right there?
Let me stop unsharing it. I'm unsharing the screen.
Commission.
Yes, sir.
Is that E.A. Wallace Bush dictionary you just pulled all those definitions out of?
I pulled the same definition you use, but I'm refuting him as opposed to you using him as support. I
didn't show any definitions on the screen of more yet.
Yeah, you did when you were
I pulled up MR, the one that you had. You started presented with the God Amen. I refuted that. I had to go to your source to refute it. You see what I'm saying? I refuted it with TLA or Thesaurus Lingua Egypti. Is your source on those terms, E.A. Wallace Budge?
Is my source on what terms?
All the terms you just cited about more of this, you were reading from a dictionary. Wasn't that Budge's dictionary?
That's the dictionary he usurped from the Coptic Christians, like I read to you earlier.
Y'all hear that?
It's really the Demonologist. It's not his. I said that in my presentation.
Okay, I hear you. So what's who published it? E.A. Wallace Budge?
Of course he took credit for it.
Okay, so that was Budge's dictionary that you just had on the screen that you took all of your definitions out.
That's correct.
I have an article citing why Budge is not a good source for neophytes. And I definitely want to get you that article. I wrote that about 10 years ago. You feel me? I'm going to shoot it to you. And it's showing you some of the errors in your ways. A lot of the words that you're translating have been retranslated, and Budge has his own transliteration.
Now notice the brother speak of things being retranslated. You know, if you got something based off of something that was already remixed and you retranslate it, you just retranslating the remix in what he called the Thesaurus Lingua Egypti. That's a source on the line, which is just like a Egyptian version in the digitized form of what we call Wikipedia, where people can go and put whatever they want to put into the thing to add on to the community of the words and build it up. So, you know, that's going to be a real mess by the time it's over with, because you still taking what the people said a word was as opposed to doing what we're doing and going back to the actual source.
System that won't really work for some of the work that you're trying to do. Another thing, you go to every MR word besides the pejorative ones, you take all the good ones and say they mean a more. But anytime there's a negative, like a sick or illy man, is that a more too? Because it has an MR root. And so if someone wants to substantiate some of these claims by just saying everything that got an MR meant that they was Moors, without addressing the fact that every single title you pointed out was a title that can be appointed or taken away from a person, that ain't got nothing to do with you being an indigenous person, like what a Moor supposedly means that you defined it earlier. And so again, like I said, we ain't got to do too much. We ain't got to back and forth. We can convo. We can let people come in or whatever. I see Shat got his yarn on, and I've been up all night debating. So you sleepy in this joint? What's boy? What you doing, boy?
No. I'm all right, bro.
Okay, that boy over there like, oh, this ain't
I just woke him up.
Huh?
Come on now.
Yeah, Kamisi just woke my ass up just now.
With what? With all that fake stuff that he did, that didn't back up.
Hold on, Commission. It's still his time.
Yeah, I just was trying to get it right. So look. Like I said, if you don't want to address none of the claims that I'm refuting, I understand, because we ain't in a debate. But let's be clear. In this discussion, you made claims that I refuted. I really ain't made no claims that you refuted. So I don't. If you want to ask me something, like I don't want to seem like I'm just going at you. But you making claims that I have falsified the majority of them. Particularly your first claim about Amen Mar. We will want to talk about these Moors. If you want to go in on that, I can show you all the glyphs on the screen and bring you up to speed on the words you keep mistranslating as Mer, because you're using Budge's work. The first term is Emi, which means who is in. As a matter of fact, why wouldn't we just Are you on the clock right now, or what you doing, son?
You still got 3 minutes, and right after you finish, we no longer on the clock. Y'all gonna have a discussion.
So I'm gonna share my screen real quick, just to bring my brother up to speed. So I'm using, I'm going to try to.
Your clock is your screen is sharing.
Okay, so I'm pulling up some of the glyphs for you here. See, you only know the term MER looking possibly like with the M and a R. With the M, let's get this M in here and then an R under that. Whatever. No, I did that wrong. Well, I got my time, so shit, I can take my time. This is the longer term for MER. When you see it with only a M and a R, like, let's see how big we can. This is the longer term for MER when it's not abbreviated. The top part means which is in or who is in, which is in, and the bottom part represents a mouth. And so in that regard, it means a commander, one who has authority, like which is in his mouth. But when they abbreviate it, they don't write the initial word that would stand for the sounds "emi." They simply give you a shorthand term, and it looks like this. Now you're coming to the dictionary just like E.A. Wallace Budge did, and you're seeing this is an M and that's an R. So you say, oh, that could be more. But in all actuality, it is a abbreviation of a longer term, which is "emi." And so if I showed you in the MATHENO'S a lot of overseers, hey, I got a book open right here with a ton of overseers in there, and you could see that if I could get right to that source before my time or something. And so I'm looking at just an older work with a bunch of overseers. And I don't know, I probably won't be able to find that before my time is up. So let me just keep it here. This is the brother you called the sheep. That was so pseudo. It was all kind of, well, I'm not going to call you pseudo. I don't want to be name calling. I'm saying the claim by the original people, whoever wants to deal with this, has to show us where Sheikh El Beled is.
Now you notice, for one, you know we don't deal with symbols, but the brother took the M and R and say, this is what you did. That was his assumption. Now you notice here, after I give him the source on the Sheikh, and he sees exactly what I said, 2500 BCE, which is 4,500 years ago, so to speak, or 4,500 years, you know, prior to the demonstration of the coming of Jehosha, so to speak. This particular demonstration that's being given, he see it, but he don't want to accept it, that a sheik was actually mentioned that long ago.
In the MATHENO'S, where that is, where that's at, because we don't got that, and particularly you don't got that. You proved it with the slides you showed that didn't have nothing but some English up on the front that said Sheikh El Beled. So I would be willing to agree with you on that if you could show us a statue where it say that at. Or what is the MATHENO'S word for sheik as you propose? And so again, I surrender right there because I don't got much.
Okay, let me show you, brother. And now you're gonna basically, you know, you didn't know this, so now you want to wish that word sheep off of the language.
No, I want to read. I can read MATHENO'S and let's see if you can. Show me the word sheep.
Hold up. I just listened to you, brother. We don't have some decorum. We can
I just responded. Don't overdo it. Everybody.
Yeah, but we can both say each other. No need to be talking over each other, brother. We good. We got a good bill going on. Let's edify the people. So what I'm gonna show you right now, unshare your screen, my brother, so I can put this up here. And I'm gonna give you that word. You asked me about the Moors and how did the sheep version come in there. First, I want to cite my brother's authority, and I always do it because he's one of the best to ever do it. Because if you ain't gonna listen to him and he did the groundwork, you ain't gonna listen to nobody. The brother, G.M. James, stated in the 8th century AD, the Moors, the natives of Mauritania, North Africa, invaded Spain and took with them the what? Egyptian culture, which they had preserved. Where did they get that Egyptian culture from?
All right, hey, KEMET,
Yes,
Commission, we're not gonna use the clock no more because we just.
Oh yeah.
I haven't built, but if you want to show something, I'll show it. No problem.
Yeah, no problem. I'm
Your
good.
screen
right
is
now,
showing.
right? I'm good right now, right?
Yes, your screen's showing.
Okay, yes, sir. Okay, so basically, and I ain't gonna be long. I'm just pointing this out. Our brother Jim James said it best. He says such people of North Africa were the neighbors of the Egyptians and became the custodians of the Egyptian culture, which they spread through considerable portions of Africa, Asia Minor, and Europe during the occupation of Spain. The Moors displayed with considerable credit the grandeur of African culture and civilization. They talk about the schools in Liberia, Timbuktu, and he goes on and on about this here, right? And I have more sources from the sister Dana Reynolds and the works of brother Ivan Van Sertman, who also talk about these people, man. You know what I mean? So we need not play games on who the Mari is and who the Moors are. But let me show you. He asked me to show him, a root that goes back to the word Mar being sheep.
Are you saying, Commission, that the Mari and the Moors are two different or the same?
I'm saying that the Mari are the ancient ancestors that gave birth to the modern day Moors. That's what we come from.
And did they wear turbans or was they wearing,
Oh, they actually had more Kemetic aspects of it as well, because these were your Puttites and so forth and so on. They wore the headdress that Nova Drew Ali wore, with the feather coming out of it, the one he had on. They dressed just like you see him sitting in the chair. That popular picture that they have of Nova.
And this is during the time of antiquity, you saying?
So yeah, this is until. Let me show it to you.
Oh shit! Well, no, hold on, because the reason I'm asking you is, I'm like, damn, how in the hell did Dr. Ben and all these grandmaster teachers miss this?
Bro? Oh, they spoke on that. I got clips. I got clips where Dr. John Henry Clark was speaking on this, and then
that's great.
Work.
All right, go ahead. It's on you, brother.
They said he was African people, not Arabs. That's what Dr. John Henry Clark said, which is what I keep telling you, bro. Now here is one of the measures, the word Mathen, which means guide, chief of a tribe, sheep, right? It's one. It also means Matheno, like we talk about Matheno in our Moorish Holy Quran, one of the bodyguards of Ra. This is the master teacher of the Comedian teachers in the Moorish Holy Quran, brother Sanya. You asked me, did we teach, that teaching? But Matheno is the adept that taught them. Now check this out right here. Meru'at, inspector of dignities of the highest kind. Meru'at, families, sheiks of tribes, heads, families, sheiks of tribes, heads of families, sheiks of tribes. Now in the Sufi community, the Meru'at is considered the master teacher, Samir. So here it is right here. Meru'at, heads of family and sheiks of tribes. Again, Meru'at, overseer of the estates, land superintendent. I told you anything I say, I can back it up. I don't just be talking, bro. I ain't saying this stuff right here because somebody told me. I'm saying it because I looked it up and did the research. You see all this over here? All this is dealing with the Mars.
So at this time,
right here. Go ahead, Simon. Go ahead.
So at this time, who were the overseers? You saying that the Moors were the overseers over the Kemetic people?
Well, what I'm saying is that the term Mir and Mari, this term, I'm just showing the antiquity of the word Moor goes back to these words. You see what I'm saying? Like the sheiks of the tribes and like the high priest of Anu being the Mari or the Mir. These are the ones that G.M. James said left Egypt with the culture and took it over into North Africa. You see what I'm saying? And it was these who became known as the Demari. Let me show you the name Demari and what it means. This is where the name Moor derives directly from. And this is why it's necessary for me to show you the Comedian root. So when I show you the actual word, then you will see exactly what I'm saying. You see? So here they are right here. Let me show this here real quick. I showed y'all this earlier. See where it said who the Puttites are? Libyans and Moors, right? Just like I stated earlier, right? Now watch this. You see this here? Look at this definition. It says Cam, which is Ham, applicable to North Africa, where the Numidians, the dark and swarthy Mauritanians or Moors worship Amun-Ra. See, they didn't know this. Even Moors in the temple ain't never taught this. Amun, the sun, otherwise Jupiter, represented by Cam, which is where they get the word ham from. Now watch this. Watch this. I told you, anytime I say it, I'm gonna back it up.
Oh, shit.
Right here. Mirwin, the oldest bull deity of Kemet, known as Kemir, or Kamur, or Kimar. They called him the black bull. The Mari, or the Moors, had their veneration of the bull as well. Some scholars have attached the name Mari or Moor to this deity as well. Now, this is just names dealing with this here now. Look at what it says about the Demotic I was telling you about, Saw, meaning Moorish gods. There's no doubt that Peripius believed Amen to be the chief god of the tribal Moors. That's the headdress of Al-Sar. That's the headdress. That's the same headdress of Al-Sar by deities that were venerated by the Moors. Why do you think this is such, family? This is not by chance. And here we go right here. Now, Demotic, look this up, family. Demotic, the Moorish gods, mentioned in the Latin scriptures of North Africa, who almost never named. They were supposed to be the soldiers, so redemptor, immortals, immortal, Augustia, exalted. This is what they were known as. They called themselves Demotic, Moorish gods. The Arabs came and said, no, these Negroes is Berbers. Don't call them that. Don't call them God. You see? And so this is where the Mari settled at. This is the west coast of Africa. You see this map right here? They were there. Mauritania is the root. So if you want to know where the Moors are today, they're not in Morocco. The Moors are in Mauritania. And I'm going to show them to you in a minute. So look, you see this here? Those in Phoenicia known as the Marim or the Mahorim, all of that is right there. It lets you know who these people are, family. Everybody I said, see the Amaru? See the name over here? All of them had that root M and R. Mu the vowel, the A and the I, you got M and R. You see what they got on their headdress, Sarnetta? Huh? Where do you think the fez come from?
That's a fez?
Is that a European?
Is that a fez?
He going in now.
That's the ancient origin of where the fez come from. And oh, I got them with the fez on too. I'm finna show that to you in a minute. I'm finna show the fez to you in a minute. Just because you asked me for it. You see? So now, when you deal with this, brother, you got to know who you're talking to.
No. Let me ask you a question because you're not on your time no more. You talking hella long.
All right, yeah, commission. I got to let him get some time.
Yeah, come on back.
I thought we was going to do a back and forth build. You can keep going, but let me get some words in. Like,
yeah,
so
I'm going to let you go ahead. You good, bro. And I'm going to come back again.
So I want to give you an ancient Egyptian dictionary to start using. A lot of us start using Vigus because it's a very good collection of dictionaries that are sourceable. Every slide you got E.A. Wallace Budge on the screen. Every slide. Every time you want to make your case without just one point of reference. Every time you make these analogies between MR, you go through different words. Like more for water is not the same as oversea. But you saying those both mean Moors today, or they both have etymological roots for Moors today. And so that's my only little point of contention as far as that's concerned. You got to isolate which one of the ancient Egyptian terms you want to finally say means the Moors, and then do your search word on that. But surely everything from love to pyramids to any other mer word, illness and sickness and death, they all couldn't be related to the Moors. You showed a fez on something that you called a fez, that ain't had nothing to do with KEMET. So I wouldn't be mad if you found a fez on some Elamite or Amorite, even though that's pseudo too. I mean, that's not right too. We would probably find the roots of fez in the Pazinian areas, during the Pazinian Empire, with those Moors from Fezan and the Libyan areas. But we got all kind of, I ain't really here to tear down the Moors either, because there was a lot of good information that you do put out. But when concerning the things we talking about to now, you made up a lot of that stuff. You have people on there on your.
That's what they accused me of, was making it up, even though you pull the sources up that existed way before we got here. See, this is, we got the, and all this come from me presenting a measure dealing with the Moors and showing them that the root of the word Moor can be traced back to Kemet. We didn't say the word Moor itself was in Kemet. We said it come from a word that's rooted in the high priest of Amun-Ra, the name of Amen. And through that same root, we can trace it back through etymology now and bring it all the way up into this era and time. But see, our people, you know, they just have to have some contention with things.
Slide talk about calm as if it was black, but if you can read the Medu Neter, you can know that that calm in his name and Kim, it means the shining or the bright appearance of him. But in your on your second slide, you just showed you had calm in the middle while you was trying to make reference to everybody that has something to do with blackness. And so I won't tear your whole presentation apart. It's not my intent. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gave nothing for you to discuss. Oh, matter of fact, just to be fair, good brother, can I share my screen for a minute? I'm gonna give you a simple ass name. I guarantee you're not about to read. What's this name right here?
Now he guaranteed I wasn't gonna read this here. I'm gonna show y'all right here. We know how they read that stuff, but we know better. But we gonna oblige him though.
What name? It's symbols? I told you I don't read that.
So you don't know Medu Neter. This is Medu
I don't
Neter.
read that.
This is whatever you telling people you're doing, whatever you telling people you're doing.
Interpret that for you though.
But this is a simple phrase.
I can metaphysically read that for you.
Everybody who watched YouTube, people who got Medu Neter,
and that's not even
what this means. You don't know what this means?
That's not. This is Neter here. But what I'm saying
thank you.
This is
brother.
Neter.
What's the one above it?
That's not an alphabet, bro.
What's this above it? But this is Neter because you know this one. This one is quality.
But it's not an alphabet.
All right, but it's a triliteral. That means it got three signs. It's called a triliteral. But so I just wanted to get you back because you threw Demotic on the screen.
One mic.
Yeah, go ahead.
And so I'm talking here, you're trying to cut me off. I just wanted to get you back because you threw Demotic on the screen and you asked me to read it, but we only claim to read Medu Neter. So when I put really what is qualified as Medu Neter on the screen, you just told everyone you can't read it.
Hey, I'm finna get him. I don't care to read it, basically. I'm finna get him right now.
Okay, you don't care to read it.
I'm finna show you what he's doing. Go back. Put that back up there. Don't you do that. Put it back up there.
Why you say that? He's like, don't you say that?
I'm finna expose you. Put that back up there.
Don't expose me, bro.
Put it back
say
up
that for a possible
Can you put it back up there?
Go in. Don't
Can you put it back up there?
Yeah, I'm putting it back
I ain't gonna expose you, but just put it back.
Come on, put it back up here. Here we go.
Let me show you what
courtesy is photos courtesy of J Mill, but keep it in.
No, don't tell me somebody else's name. You know I got you. Now let me show you something. This ain't really saying nothing, y'all. He got the symbol of Neter here, right? Neter, this is what they call it.
You looking at the one to the right?
Hold on, I'm gonna go. Don't hold it right there. Don't move it. Don't you move
well, I need to know what you're talking about.
Hold up. I'm going to show you both of them. That flag, the flag symbol that you pointed out that I said was Neter. You know which it is. They call it Ayat Neter. The word Ayat.
No, that's not Ayat Neter. You're making that up.
Listen. I'm telling you, you can learn something. Listen. Ayat Neter, bro. I-A-T. Ayat is where Ayat comes from in the Arabic. A-Y-A-T. It means sign. But so this flag was a standard. Listen. This flag was a standard, my brother, and it represented God himself. Now, I'm going to show you in a minute. I know what I'm talking about. Now, this, my brother, you see the hawk right there, and then you got the hand up under it, and you got the hawk again. Bro, that's the letter A, is what they like to call it, right? We don't call it letter A.
So you're going to read the names?
Hold up.
Are you going to pick out the glyphs that you identify?
I'm pointing out what you got in front of me. Also, right there in front of me, the hand that's being given to them, bro, that don't even make a word, bro. That's supposed to be ah. is what that is.
These know what
All
you're
it's
right,
doing
but
is
this is
giving
you
it-
gotta
listen,
know how
hold
to
up.
parse this thing.
No,
This is a
no,
whole
listen.
name.
Now you notice he say you right. And like I told him, I don't read, symbols, but we can oblige him. But he was trying to get me back, he say, because I put Demotic up here.
Listen,
Separate it.
listen, all you
Separate
did,
it. This is
all
one
you
name.
did, hold up, brother. All you did here, you got
Hold on, one mic, let him finish and then you go in, man,
you
Jack.
got here. And I told you I don't even deal with it, but I know what you're trying to do. And this ain't really saying nothing, bro. It's a and H is in Lee Wallace Bud's terminology, and a A. Aha. And actually, if you want to say aha, bro, aha.
What about
is
the
actually
T,
the
the
name.
Y,
Hold
and
up,
the
hold
U?
up, hold up, hold up, hold up. Aha is the name Allah. And I'm finna
You
prove
ain't got
that to
no
you.
high in
No,
your
you see
blood, so
what
you
he done
can't
did?
read the meta
You
natural.
see what he did, son?
You just showed
He
that
done-
to
he
us.
just cut himself.
You
I'm finna
can't
show you.
read the meta
I'm
nature,
finna
and
show
you
you
just
right
showed
now,
that
bro.
to us.
I'm finna show
All right,
you.
hold on, everybody, hold on.
Go ahead.
Commission.
Hold
Hold on, everybody. Commission, are you saying, Commission, in this middle lecture, you see the word Allah in there?
Exactly. I'm finna
Where's
show
that at, brother?
I'm
Oh
finna
my
show
God.
it to you right now.
No,
I'ma
he gonna
show it
go
to
to
you.
some
I'ma
Orinoco
show it to you
Rashidi
in my-
video where somebody said that this hand means
No, I ain't gotta
Allah.
go to that video. I'm gonna go to my slide real quick to show it to you.
All your
They got a
slides
whole
have been
slide.
falsified.
I got a slide on this right here. Y'all see them symbols he got right there? Now notice I didn't have no alphabet in front of me, sir, and I seen this here.
But
You
you
see what I'm
couldn't read
saying?
the name of who the
But I
person
don't
was.
read that
You
like
just
that.
noticed what
I
an
don't
A
read
was.
it like that. I don't read it like that. Watch this. I'm finna show you now.
But you couldn't read it
I'ma
though,
show you
right?
how
You couldn't
sharp-
read the
I'm
name,
gonna show you
right?
how sharp I am. I'm gonna show you this right here, brother. Watch this.
All right, one mic, go ahead, Commission, you got it.
Yes, sir. We're gonna wake you up real quick. Hold up 1 second right here. Let me open this up right here. Okay. That's it right there. Okay, it's this one right here. Okay, this is the slide I was gonna put on the other night, Sardinell. I got like 80 slides over here dealing with different information. Hold on. Okay, there we go right there. Okay, let me know when you see it sharing something.
It's Sharon.
Okay, let me try to get this. I'm trying to pull it up. Get on up out of there, I see. That thing way down in the corner. There we go. Come on up here. Now let me show our brother something. Y'all seen the symbols with the hawk, right? And the bird. Man, I done broke this name Allah down in the language so many times, it's ridiculous. This is the word Sa, the hand which represents Ah. He thought I was gonna go to the video. That brother was correct in what he said, though. Ah, right? It represents Ah, which means to give, right? Now this Ah compound with Ra is actually La, because the R and the L is interchangeable. You see, Ra. So Allah, that's where that comes from. Now let me blow this up a bit. Anytime you see somebody trying to go against the Muslims, they say Allah was a moon god. This is the picture they show. I know you done seen this before, Samuel. So the key in regards to dealing with and he has the symbol of Ra in his hand, which is the R is interchangeable with the letter L. So that is Allah. Now, when you go into the dictionary, this source here that I'm reading actually comes from a Hebrew dictionary. It said, thus was it that the letter A became so sacredly associated with the idea of deity, who was himself called A, El, or Allah. See? It says the generic supreme name of God as worship among the eldest patriarchs. The life of Allah or God was the life that the true alias always desired to cultivate and to lead. Hence, aliasm, the life of God in the soul of man, was the most ancient mode of religion. What this is telling you is that God is not outside of you, some spook being. God only exists as he works through you. So which is known as to being the origin of Allah, this statue you see here, this depiction represents God in man, you see? And also coming from the language of the brother that did the video on Allah when he was talking about Wallaf, this is Wallaf. See, Allah. It means his or her, it's him, her, it too. they gave it to him, or they gave it to her. That's why he said the arm meant to give when he was with Renoka Rashid. He said the arm, Ahla, to give. Watch this. You see that right there where it says
why every time I try to get in, stop, he's stopping me like he ain't letting me talk forever?
He let us get
No, brother, I never stop you. You stop.
Nah, you let him do a whole nother presentation.
Right,
I thought we were supposed to do
All right, Commission, let me
So
it's like
basically, Morris Ken, we can see, you know, our people are truly something to work with, so to speak. So y'all know why I say, and this is what, just cause I gave a presentation on the Moors, wasn't messing with nobody. Everybody loved it. Oh man, this is great information. Oh, he did that. Sarnetta, you need to set it up. I got to go talk to him. You know, cause he wrote a book. In his book, my information go against it. He feel attacked. And I don't even know the brother. He ain't the only one that done come up out of the woodworks, you know, after. But this is what we gonna have to be, you know, prepared for. When you put things out there, is somebody gonna try to come and remove the landmark. But you notice we keep it on high. You know, we oblige and we ain't try to get too crazy with them, even though they go down in the low. But that's just teaching our people the language. They love the Europeans so much more. They love them so much that no matter what you say, like the chairman say, they defending jumping through the hoops. And they don't even know that they defending jumping through the hoops. They think, I know Medunetta, you know, and like I told the brother, I can read, if I wanted to, that stuff the same way they try to read it through E. Wallace Bud, the symbols and all that right there. But you would not read nothing but Ptolemaicism. So why would I get out there and sell myself short teaching that way when I know better? I follow the paths of, and I didn't even know the brother till recently, like Walter Williams. That elder been out here for years telling them the same thing I said, and they wrote a whole book against the so-called Egyptian community. The brother, they wrote a whole book against that elder, attacking him, because he said the Medunetta ain't been deciphered yet. You see, so this is crazy that our people defend this Eurocentric stuff and don't even know how to read the Demotic. Don't even recognize the Demotic or Heretic when what they have is based off of them. And so we don't want to be out here looking like that. And that's why we'll never mislead our people by teaching them, you know, symbols in that way. Now, when we get into the symbols, like I was showing you before, it's more metaphysical than anything. It's formulas in this stuff. You know, it go beyond alphabet. You know, the Canaanites took them a few symbols and made an alphabet off of it. And that's how it became known the way it had. You know, our ancestors, ancient Canaanites, you know, which they call Proto-Canaanite, Proto-Sinaitic, you know, and all of these things was taken forth, and then they built alphabet in that way. But that was not that of the ancient Kemites. And so we have to know how to distinguish the difference between the two. And that way we won't be confused, because we have to be right and exact when we teaching a people. You know, we don't want to give them something just to be giving it to them for the sake of giving it to them. So that's just one portion of what I wanted to do. And I didn't really have a whole lot to go into out of what I sent to the Moors. But I do want to touch on a few things briefly in the one slide that I sent out dealing with the lessons and just the dictionary. You know, that'll prep us up, and I'm gonna open up the floor real quick. Let me see here. I want to share my screen again. Make sure I got everything up here with what I just sent out to our Moorish family. Okay, there we go right there. Okay, I share it, open it up. Yeah, but it's a task out here trying to talk to our people. Goodness gracious. All right. Here we go. So we had sent to the Moors the full lesson here. I want to make sure I open this all the way up, so I just download it again. I don't want it to, there we go. This is the same lesson that we had from the beginning, Moorish King, dealing with the Demotic language. And it has a little bit more, a lot more than what it was, because it got actually all the lessons. And I actually have them like broke down piece by piece, you know, but I say, well, this one is the whole PDF, so why not send the whole PDF? And so Moors can become more familiar with Because like I say, this stuff hasn't been taught in the opening, you know, when you deal with this. So you see the beginning of it, lesson 1, which we already went over, showing you all the alphabets, which I just showed you. We put in abjad order, and we can still perfect that a little bit more as well, to take some of the other things that they put in there out of there and just leave exactly as the abjad order is. But in this document, Moors, you will have all the rules to give you familiarity with certain words, for example. You know, then this is where you can build up your understanding, you know, of certain words, like you see it here, you know, as the word father. We already know nature is God in the English version, but you see the symbol and what is recognized here. When you begin to get to where you can see these things popping out of the language, just like in the other languages we showed you in the Coptic and the Arabic and so forth and so on, you become more familiar. Also, we can practice on putting vowels in between these letters. You know, like this word here, you know, I would actually say, if I would have put a vowel, I would call it Naket. You see, Naket. Because really it ain't no right or wrong way of putting things in there. Some people might put Nakut, you know, any one of the vowels, but you know, A-E-I-O-U, Nakut, Neket, you see, which is a thing, a property. And you can see it here. You see the letter N. You can see how it goes into the T. Then you have, this is B-A-K, you know, and I would actually probably keep this as it is, as back, which means servant. And you see the symbol here that's used, you know, an alphabetical symbol rather, that's used to write that out. And you can go back to the language and make your comparisons with what we have up here. Because at this point, being that we have already laid a foundation, and the Moors that have been here through the duration, they already know what's going on. You know, so you go back to the letters and you can actually go and map out, you know, what each one of these things are saying. You know, because we also, in the way that I put it in the abjad, I tried to put the different forms, you know, based on who was writing it. That's the only difference you find too, based on who writing a particular Demotic script, whereas a letter may look a little different here, look different there, because we don't really have them fully digitized yet, like you had the Egyptian stuff. Who knows, maybe we may come forth with our demonstration and create a whole Demotic digitizing digitalization per se of that measure. You have sin, the word sin, I would put S-E-N here, sin, which means brother, like Ren, you know, means man, you see? So that would be the symbol here. And you can take these words and go back to, because that's all we have to work with right now, those dictionaries that were translated by the demontologists. That's what I was trying to tell that brother. Though E. Wallace Budge took credit for it, he tell you that he wasn't the author of it. So I have no problem looking at what those who were the Coptics put together that he took credit for, you know, in order for us to bring some clarity to what it is that we read, you know. But also through etymology, we can compare certain words in certain languages. And again, you know, those words that apply universally, those will be more than likely the words that we will adopt into our dictionaries, those that go all the way across the board, because we are using etymology in the consensus of etymology in many different languages to show that these words are cognate. And if they are cognate words, then we welcome them into our dictionary. You see, because we don't have to go back and forth. When somebody look into a language, they're going to see the same thing, regardless of the way they may place certain things and express it a different way. Okay, so you have here, herein, you know, and you see this means superior. Then you have Peter. I know y'all seen this one before. If you even looked at what they like to try to call Metanetta, it deals with the pyramid as a symbol, house. That's what they put there. But Peter, here you see the letters that are used here in the alphabet here beside it, you know, and same thing can be did when we go to dealing with the word priest, which is web, you see, web, up. I would even say up, because the W is interchangeable with you. Just like wajet, so whoop. So priest, And you can see here, you just go compare the alphabet, you know, and go back to the actual word. Then you got the word. So you are building up your knowledge of these words by utilizing the definitions in the dictionary. You see, hey, you know, and I placed it there. It could be hoy, you know, hoy. It could be that too, but hey, I just say hey, just place the E there, make it simple. No matter which vowel you use, we'll get into all of that right there during the time where we're really trying to get into pronunciation to a T. But I'm just giving you measures and a methodology by which you can basically bring some things forth and have substance in the pronunciation. This word here, Timmy, you know, Timmy. This is town, Dimmy, Dimmy. See how the D is interchangeable with the T? Dimmy, Dimmy. Like push the D and the T out together is the best way. Just like I said, whoop, whoop with the W, same thing. So back, right here, back. We know that's the letter A in the center right there, which deals with work here. You see? Now, don't find it strange that you use the word work and servant and you compare them to each other, you know, and but there's nothing wrong with being a servant of humanity, though, is it? Nothing wrong with being a servant of Allah, is it? Being about the work of your father, right? About your father's business, right? So we can see in context and building up that word just from there. There it is again. We spoke of rent, dealing with man early. Rent. Here you go here. And you have here, seer, a sitter, son. You see? Then you have we, you know, which is house here. So, I mean, this is just going into different aspects alone of dealing with, you know, the words and becoming familiar with them. Like I say, we are the first to do this. And I mean, so forth and so on, you keep going on. And after you become familiar with these things, this stuff start jumping out at you. You start recognizing letters that you can see. And that's another thing too. The best way to learn or become familiarized with these things is, like I say, to really choose just one letter if you have to. Some of us may be able to be a little bit more advanced and go and look at more than one. But you know, if you recognize this as the letter M, just say, okay, well, I'm dealing with the letter M, or I'm dealing with the letter A, and just look through a text and see how many times you can identify that letter through the text. Like the Gospel of Thomas demonstration. Use that as a guide. Pick the alphabet A out and then look for A throughout the whole measure till you get to the bottom. And that will impress that alphabet in your consciousness. And move to the next letter and do the same thing. It don't have to just be the Gospel of Thomas either. It's a lot of Demotic papyri out there. A lot of it we have in some of the information we put out here. So you can pull up some of the old slide information and you can use that as well. And just take one letter at a time. Don't overburden yourself and go through the whole script and look for that letter. Pinpoint it. Then go to the next letter in the abjad, which will be the B. Look for that letter in the text. Pinpoint it all throughout the script. You ain't worried about putting words together. You just identifying the letters. Do that through the whole document as far as dealing with your alphabets. By the time you exhaust all your alphabets, and even do it as a practice if you want to, you know, I guarantee you impress upon your consciousness the letters. And then soon you'll be able to see whole words, because now you have made yourself, you know, identify the letters, you know, individually. You can see them come together as a collective. Like we did in the last class, we actually transliterated a word, you know, based on the knowledge that we have, you see? So when you recognize that, man, I mean, it's just easy. And they have even whole statements you're gonna find in this document after I sent the rest of all of this out to you. Like, you know, certain things dealing with, for example, I would say this is rem intimi, you know, rem intimi, you know, which is local man. You see? Sinnet, Sinet, which is gold dealer, goldsmith, right? So it's basically doing that right there, you know, and becoming more familiar with it. And you become proficient in it. You become, it's easy to use. And this is why I was telling that brother too, because he was thinking metal netta simply means what he thought it was, symbol. No, met. See, you see med, anytime you're dealing with that, you're talking about a thing, a word, a speech. So if it's hieratic, it's still called that. If it's demotic, it's still called that. You see? Right here, we can actually see where it's talking about evil speech. Because it says matent bent, which they use the word evil speech. You see, then you have matent nefert, which is good. You see, good speech. Then you have matent ma'at. We already know that's ma'at. See the 2 letter A's in there, what that says, truth. You see? Ma'et, metu pir. You know, pera, actually, P-R-N-A, which is where they get the name Pharaoh from. See? So it even, you know, there it go right there. He was talking about I was telling him about the M&R dealing with overseer. See it right here? See, man, look, there go your M&R again right there, dealing with general. They added that in here. M&R here, chief inspector. See, it don't take long to tell the truth, boys. You see, then you have, we can say this right here is halt netter, which is temple. You see? So you're going to get familiar with it. The more you practice, the more familiar you become. You know, and they got whole transliterations here. So it wouldn't do no wrong for one to go in here and actually look, you know, and begin to write these things out. And we'll go into it as we go into our next class. But we're giving our Moorish kin that room for growth. And this class is for those who are serious about the transliteration. We know that is not hard at all when you apply yourself to it. And we have proven that over the course of the few weeks that we've been dealing with these languages. It's just that we don't deal with this stuff on a daily basis. So we are going to have to become the community that we become immersed in this information among, because there is no Demotic community speaking today. There is no hieratic community, Coptic, he Coptic over here like that. So the more we familiarize ourselves with it, we are going to be those ones who have to teach these people the proper aspects of the teaching, you know, and so it's going to really take us going into even showing them comparative measures. You know, no, this word means this in Demotic. It means this in the hieratic. It means this in the Coptic. And this is where they came up with the symbol, you know, so we will be able to do whole lectures just on one word, to be honest with you, you know, the way that they done mix stuff up. Because you can't go through this stuff and fly through it overnight. But they are not, again, teaching this in the Kemetic community. It's important. So once we learn these different structures in these words, like this says, Eremit, Reirak. Yeah, Eremit, Reirak. See, I would push the P out, C. Pardon self, that's not C, that's pay. So it's Eremit Ir pay, which means what kind of man is he to you? You see what I'm saying? These are questions that we can actually come up with and develop over time of communication in here. Ink, pek, sin, ikpeksin, which means I am your brother. You see what I'm saying? Here's another. Simpe is summer. You see? We can go on and on with it, Moorish King. Like I say, I'm still trying to get, because what I'm doing, these are not whole words, so I'm trying to put the vowel in there at the same time while I'm pronouncing this, but that'll be a task for us to take some of these words, you know, and put the vowels where we see the vowels fit, you know, in order to pronounce these things. That's why they tell you can't pronounce these things without having the vowel at the root. You see, you need the vowel there in order to be able to pronounce a word. It's the same way in Arabic, same way in Hebrew, as they like to call it. Without those vowels, those diacritical marks, you can't really pronounce it right.
you know, and so again, we are not putting in the limitations of rules on what one chooses to put in between it, you know, but we will adopt a universal method on what we'll put into it later so that we will have ourselves being grounded in drawing, because a vowel off, it ain't gonna do too much different from the word. It just gives us the ability to express, you know, the total word, so to speak, or the sound. So it's a whole bunch of these things in here. After that, you know, now that you have the knowledge you have, Moors, going in here, you can also practice by transliterating certain words, you know, taking the alphabetical symbols here that we have, and then transliterating them into, you know, the form that you see as you see it here. This is transliteration right here, family. When it comes into this form, this is the text transliteration. This is the translation. You see? And so when you go into that aspect, so you translate it, transliterate it into sound, then with what you have of the knowledge of the dictionary and the words, you can pull those words out and basically identify them. So it's showing another one here, writing this in Demotic. So in one aspect, you can actually translate and transliterate, so to speak. And in the other aspect, you can actually write this in Demotic when you have, you know, certain knowledge of certain words, you see, based upon what you already have. Because all these words that's actually used here, if you pay attention, we went through piece by piece above before we got here. The servants of the house, you are the man of the town, the property of the children is mine. Good and evil are things of God. Who are the priests of the temple? She is a wise woman. The gold dealer is the son of the superior. All these words, if we pay attention, we know we just went over before I got down to this point, right? So basically, you're using your knowledge to basically be able to put together these things. In the same way, we would be able to use these same words, having the knowledge of them, you know, like I said, to be able to even identify with certain drawings of giving Comitian transliterations in the Moorish Holy Quran and all of that, right? And so lesson 3, it goes all the way doing the same thing. It also shows what they like to try to put in the realm of well, these are the same type of words, like dealing with eye and strength and mouth, you know, other breakdowns. Everything you need to become knowledgeable of the Demotic is here. Only thing now is just really dealing with each letter. Like I said, I got the actual dictionary, and that's like 100 pages long. So I just sent you one of them out for right now, because we don't want to, this right here is a lot, just this here. I don't want to overburden the Moors. So yeah, we can learn these things and begin to communicate with each other in certain types of ways with this. This is overkill when it comes to all of the resources that you have here. But you don't see nobody. If you go on YouTube, I repeat, you ain't gonna see nobody out there that's teaching, you know, the knowledge of this Demotic. And this is, it goes a long way more. Look at that. Look at that. So you ain't gotta ask Brother Shaheed now, is it more information? Oh, we got a whole bunch of it and more to come. And so you can come down here into the bottom and find particular words outside of the sentence structures to become familiar with it as well. See how they use the word Amun, and if you go over here into the transliterated portion of that, it's still the same. That looked like an I, but it's really an A. So it's Amun, you see? Alt, between, awiti. And so we want to write these things out ourselves as well in the proper way to get some understanding. So pay attention to all of that more. Let me stop sharing this screen real quick. I want to show you what I mean when I say write them out. I'm gonna actually take my little background down real quick. I got my little blue screen back there. Let's see, I might be able to put it up here if I blur this. No, it ain't showing it that way. But we'll just do it like this and we'll remove the background completely. Okay. All right. No background. Okay, so all right.
This is what we have here, Morris Ken. When you look, I want to make sure I got something up here. Get my hand off it. See, I wrote this out. The letter A. And that's what we want to do. We want to go through that dictionary and write it the same way. You see how I did the A, Y, the A and the T and the Y? Because that's the same thing when you go up here. That's going to give you, you're going to be easy to see. It's going to be easier to see if you do it that way. So, you know, you can write these things out. You see? And so, and that's, you can do that with every letter a word consisting of the letter A that you have the ability to, you know, do it at your own pace. What you ain't able to identify with, you know, all is well, you know, you'll get to it eventually, you know, but that's what we want to point out as well. And like I said, help is definitely arrived. In regard, I know y'all more jumping for joy, you know, even though it's still a task to go into this, but you can see daylight now at the end of this demonic tunnel. But we had to go through everything we went through. Remember, we put all these alphabets together. We got to give ourselves a applaud, Moors. We went into this alphabet bit by bit and identified each one of them. And when you go into each one of these alphabets, you're going to see it's just like we put it without having that. You see what I'm saying? Because I came across this later. We didn't even have that. And we put this stuff together in abjad order. You know, praise be to Allah, the ancestor, the great God Allah, the prophet, everybody leading on and victory is sure. So yeah, we want to do that. And we got it laid out in our homework once we get to that particular area. And we give honors to the book of fire, you know, for everything it is that the chairman gave us, because it laid a foundation for us to be able to see. You know, one thing about the chairman, he let you know about the remixing agreement. He don't have to go into that. He already know what happened. You know, so it's us taking these lessons now, you know, and basically putting it in the form of where we can begin to teach our people based upon how this European came in here and remixed this stuff and told you this was this and that was that. That was a conversation I had too when it was talking about the different atoms. You know, I was showing that to somebody. They'll type that, you know. I don't agree with the story of Genesis really, but we believe it was more people. All right, well, let me show you what them people was. Oh, we don't believe that. Well, you just say you believe that it was more than one atom when I show you that it was. Now you don't believe it? Like, goodness gracious, people, what's going on with y'all? And like I told them, Adam is nothing more than the beginning of different families. Beginning over and over, the concept of the Adam and Eve demonstration, you know, quite to the contrary, people thinking, okay, this is the first man. No, it was one that was more ancient than him. Referred to in our questionnaire when the prophets say, what is the name of the first physical man? We know it wasn't Adam, because Adam and Eve was already mentioned in the questionnaire. You see? And if that was the case, it wouldn't have said, well, his name can't be used except by those, you know, in the AC or the MST. He wouldn't say that and come right behind it and put the name Adam there. You see? But, you know, you have to have adept thought to know that. And it's simple. It ain't nothing complex. You know, so when you understand that, you understand what a pre-Adamite is. Then you can understand who Ish and Isha is. You see, and how Ish and Isha, you know, as one has always been presented, you know, as Cadmonites, the original inhabitants, indigenous inhabitants to the Garden of Eden, or the land of Canaan. All of this can be documented. We got documentation on this, not just something we figuring up. We know this by the information we have. So etymology is key though. That's why it's important that we know language, because through etymology, you can correct a lot of misappropriation and misunderstanding when it comes down to what they call archaeology and, you know,
geology and everything else. If you can go to the land by word, then surely you can pull up the fact that a people existed. Because words wouldn't exist where people didn't exist. You see what I'm saying? Somebody had to be there if you find the word there in reference to the place. But that's just one to grow on, Morris Ken. And yeah, so what we have, we want to encourage our family again with everything that we put out here on the what we sent to you, Morris, in your inbox. You know, you can go back to these things and look through the documents. And we definitely have a grand drawing on the manifest. So hold on 1 second. Okay. All right. So yeah, this is what we have, family. We have the this document here, the one we sent. Then we have this document, you know, dealing with the letter A. Like I say, you can go beside it and write these things like I did, like you seen me do. That's gonna help you better pronounce it. And then you can also
Islam, if you sharing your screen, we can't see it.
Oh, it is? Okay. Thank you, brother, for giving me that notation. I thought I had shared it. Okay, let me do it again here. Okay, can you see it now?
Islam.
Okay, Islam. Okay, so basically, like I said, yeah, we want to, these 3 measures that I sent to you as a support, you know, this is going to give you a grand understanding. This is all the lessons in the Demotic, you know, as I was just going through a few minutes ago. This is for at our own leisure, you know, to study, but, you know, we will have our Morris Ken, if they want to, in the homework, bring forth, you know, if they want to, one line of their own, or, you know, a few words or whatever, you know, what you understand. And like I said, you can even go back to the dictionary of the demonologist. That's the one, that's what I like to call the work that Budge called himself created. But you can go back and look at the words and compare them to some of the words you have here, you know, as a fact-checking method, so to speak. You know, not this as needing a fact check, but going back to see what they had derived from certain measures in that area in comparison. So also the letter A, like I showed you, I had wrote, you know, the letter A, wrote these things out the way they would be pronounced that would help you out. You know, you can do that. I did all of them. It may take some of us longer depending on, you know, our diligence in it. And then this I just sent back to the Moors. We went over it last week. I put this in abjad order. We still got some perfection to do. So we got to take out some of these letters here. A lot of these letters are basically letters that are reiterated, you know, in this second portion here. But pretty much all of this stuff here is in the abjad order. You'll be able to pick it up because these actually should be in one line, the G and the K. I could have put them beside each other, you know, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So all of these things right here should be helpful, even going here to check on some of the letters. If some letters look a little off or whatever, these letters here will give you more clarity as well. You know, looking at your Demotic over here, don't even worry about the hieratic and the symbols yet, because we hadn't got there. We're going to deal with the Demotic, and then we'll be going on actually. You know, after the next class, we'll probably end up going into the realm of the hieratic. But want to make sure that our Morris Ken understand the rules, you know, that we are putting out here dealing with the Demotic, just like we did with the Coptic. And all we doing is, we ain't staying here to try to teach the whole language per se. We are showing you how to identify it and be able to deal with transliteration. And we'll study these things on our own. You see, when we feel like that, you know, because we ain't trying to burden somebody. You got to study, this is not something you can do overnight. You know, just overnight. We're giving you the basis of what is needed in order to springboard yourself, you know, into this. So this ain't something a mandatory, you got to do this, and that. Now it's mandatory if you want to try to transliterate something. Or in other words, we ain't making nobody, you know, do nothing. we're giving you the knowledge of it and the proper basis, so you have the foundation to build upon. And I guarantee you that you won't go wrong, you know, and all of us will be skilled and adept enough to show people these things. You know, as you've seen me have to engage a brother with this stuff, and you see what the response was. So, okay, and last but not least, it's basically just giving honors to the great God Allah for allowing us to be here in this new era and time and being able to explain these things, you know, that were hidden from the babies, and now they're coming forth from the mouth of babes. I'm talking about us. I don't care how old we think we still babies, you know, when it comes to learning and unfolding. So gratitude, Moors, we love you. Islamism without the schism, and ooh-wee, as we can say. But let us call forth our Grand National Chairman, Dr. Akin Pert M. Heru Tutankhamun Bey, for writing them grand chapters in the exhuming of a nation and giving us a foundation in this language that we demonstrate. Islam, you there, grand man?
Islam, can you hear me?
Islamism without the schism with divine evil.
Man, we praise to Allah and party.Non. Man, powerful, powerful, powerful. Thank you. Man, whew. I want to give honor to you, man. Thank you. Also, it's a great holiday today. I want to say, you know, Blessed Mother's Day, and to the mother makers too. All right, thank you, man. Thank you so much, Shaheed. And said much honor to all of those who participated in today's class. And we are so blessed, so honored with the teachings that we have. And man, just thank you. That's all I got to say. Islam, we love you.
Islam, we love you too, grand man. Man, wait till we go to putting this book of fire. Goodness gracious, because that's what we're finna start doing now. And man, it's just a grand drawing. Praise be to Allah, Chairman, for all the work that you do and continue to do. You know, they better get these lessons and the blessings. There's plenty over here. But speaking of lessons and blessings, let us call forth our Grand National Secretary of the State, Sister Shepsut Rakatmahat and Pooh Tutankhamun Bey. Islam, you there, Goddess and Queen?
Islam closes a thought. Praise Allah. Islam Moorish can. Trying to go back to my first page. First of all, I want to rise, giving all praises to our Father God Allah, giving honor to our Prophet, Noble Jurah Ali, the last prophet in these days and times, giving honor to our Georgia Consulate, to our National Assistant Grand Chairman, Dr. Toure and New Rasul Simpson Bey, for opening our meeting according to law and reading our chapter. To all of my Moorish kin, giving honor to Act 1, giving honor to you, Dr. Shaheed, for bringing forth this grand demonstration this afternoon. Woo-wee, because this has been a grand class. Much gratitude for all the work that you do. Indeed, the handouts are going to be of a benefit for us to familiarize ourselves and do the exercise and the research and things of that nature. I also wanted to give you honor for being out there in that unstable public. And that video, I tell you, woo, when you're dealing with those individuals that are staunch, you put the truth right out there. But see, that's why we state that Allah is the one that places veils upon people's eyes as far as consciousness is concerned. And Allah is the one that removes these veils. Now, the seeds that you brought forth, even though that brother was not ready to accept at that time, whether he be Masonic or dealing with power or what have you, the thing is, the truth was put out there, you know, and it's not an easy demonstration to go toe-to-toe and somebody just refuse to open the mindset or to hear because of, and so vehemently defending Europe as opposed to one that looks like him. Now, if that isn't Willie Lynch and indoctrination as far as our people are concerned, this is why we've got to, when we go out on the highways and byways, recognize the fact that we have got a divine message to bring. We have got to show ourselves approved to the Creator, our Father God Allah. And we've got to, you know, in some cases, you pity the absurdity, drop the seed, keep it moving. The thing is, this is what the prophet had to deal with, and much more. And the prophet was divinely prepared. We are in these sacred schools so that we have the consciousness and the tools to deal with that kind of mindset. Those that have been raised up on the milk of NBC, the milk of European indoctrination, the milk of I'm a PhD and who you to tell me anything, and still have got to remain unwavered in knowing that this is the only path. But we can't sit there and say, you know, we can't sit there with the hammer and crack somebody else upside the head. If you don't want it, peace and blessings, you know, and we have to keep it moving, because if we are not founded in what it is that the prophet brought to us, then I might get taken off by, well, that brother said that the feds ain't got nothing to do with KEMET, even though you seeing the picture in stone, okay? That you just made it up. We have got to be able to stand, and this is a lot of the failings as far as our people are concerned. If you don't have that sincerity, if you have not grabbed hold to the truth and not letting it go because this is your very life. That's why I made the comparison in reference to a Chinese. If you come up there and say, man, you know you ain't no Chinese, that Chinese person would look at you like you have lost your mind. That's the same foundation that we have got to have, because Allah saw fit to bless us. So we have a magnanimous task. We have a grand job, but it's not anything that our ancestors haven't done before. So, you know, I give you much honor, Dr. Shaheed, for being the vanguard on that particular level. Alhamdulillah. So I'm like, you know what? Personally, peace and blessings, you know, give you the seed. Look, I would have stood there, no, but that's just my character. You know what I mean? I give you the blessings, keep it moving. But see, we have to have that type of demonstration that no matter what, you know, and this is what our National Grand Sheikh has, our National Grand Chairman, you know, taking all kinds of abuses, being out there on the front line. That's no joke. You know, so if you can't manage being out there on the front line with naysayers, how are you going to talk about the key of civilization to the 60 million and the rest of the nations of the earth? What are you going to do if you have the title now of ambassador, you speaking to Germany, and you didn't like what the German said or how he blinked? Now you ready to drop to an NBC level and take him out. You know, we are in class every second of the day, but you've got to be fortified and learn how to keep it above the neck no matter what. Otherwise, you allow yourself to get taken off the count behind any evil wind that may come through. Oh, I got a question. And you know it has a hook of Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, and beast in it. But you still maintain, because nobody should be able to take you off your square of love divine. So much gratitude and honor to you more for all the work that you do, you know, and, you know, we just remain steadfast and studious, because we know that our people are dependent upon us and our children, you know. So gratitude more for all the work that you do, for being out there, you know, and like you said, we have to have each other's back, you know, and you don't come to one talking about another more and not think that a more is going to support that foolishness or not. That's how tight we have to be in our Father's house. So gratitude more for the blessing. Peace and love.
Islam and gratitude, let there rise out of you of people enjoying what's right and forbidding what's wrong. And that's exactly what we coming from, Moors. And we let our Moorish kin see these things. So we want you to know, you say you strong in the prophet, you stand on the prophet.
Can you stand in the face of that right there, like the Grand National Secretary of the State say, without going in? Because see, it's easy for us. We all talk to each other. We know we ain't gonna never go to the level that the NBC go with each other. So it's easy to communicate among ourselves, but can you hold your posture? Like you see me doing, even in the midst of, we know it's crazy. You can hear the language some of them like to use. And you see, I just be smiling, you know, because I know, they don't know in my mind, I be saying to myself, I used to be just like, they don't know that. I used to be just like that. That's why I be smiling. Like, praise be to Allah for leading me out of that state of mind. And in his mind, his wisdom is more superior to me. Who am I for him to be talking to? So this is the dynamic we dealing with. You know, I've been teaching, you know, this for such and such year. I done wrote books and, you know, so now let me come out here and all you're doing is regurgitating what Rome created. And so let me show you, brother. And then when I show you, and now that right there stir you up, because now you can't really prove that you know what you say, you know. So now you think I'm trying to attack you. No, I'm trying to show you still much wisdom to be learned, my brother. You see what I'm saying? And so I understood long time ago, and something that always stuck with me. Our brother Prophet Muhammad Ibn Abdullah, it was recorded that he said, he was said to speak the language of all different ages. You see what I'm saying? So I know it's certain things that I can speak to individuals based upon the age of their intelligence as it's displayed, and we can know who we talking to by speaking to them. You wouldn't talk to a people about arsenal codes, so to speak, to tear something up, and you know they had a mentality of trying to tear something up. You understand where I'm coming from? And so it's the same thing when we're dealing with our people. Sometimes you have to embrace them where they at and take them where they need to be. Sometimes you have to give them a little tough love, you know, to show them it ain't you beating them up or nothing like that. You giving them tough love because that's the only way they can hear. Because in their mind, if you don't speak to them, like they say, if you don't say it with your chest, you know, then they look at you like you're a pushover anyway. So you have to let them know that they're like I said last night with Moses, or yesterday with Moses. You know, Musa was sent to Pharaoh as a god, according to the Piscean records, because he was dealing with one who had an egotistical mindset that he was the supreme reality. So somebody had to come to him on that level, just like Al-Qaeda had to come to Moses, you know, in the Quran, because Moses was learning all the wisdom of Egyptians. So Al-Qaeda had to come and show him something that he didn't know. You see what I'm saying? And so it goes in degrees like that when we're dealing with our people. Some people, you can tell the truth, they embrace it, they love it, they hear it for what it is. Some people, if they have that European standing guard with that Roman seal on their hearts and mind, they're going to fight you tooth and nail. You see, it's going to take a band of white-clad soldiers, and that's dealing with the thoughts above your neck, you know, stand in the out instead of the naught, you know, to really open up the way, so to speak. And so we just have to be able to give our people room for growth, but at the same time, plant the seeds. And I know this to be fact because I have dealt with many of our people, family, prior to even coming into government. And we got in these same type of discussion. They would fight me tooth and nail. That's garbage. And you're a liar. I'm talking about we face to face and they talking like this. And I say, brother, this is like 20 years ago. You know, I wouldn't get mad at them. And I say, brother, I used to be just like you. I used to think just like, that's how I would say, I would speak to them then. After a while, man, them one come into the ranks and be foremost and most powerful than anything. You see what I'm saying? It's a few in social media that have attacked the government, that have jumped in my page. And a lot of them ones right now, if you go in some of the posts, they in their support. Because they you know, the truth got them. I ain't stay on top of them. I just put the message out there and I learned. Some people think, well, you got to be careful with, no, you tell them exactly what you're supposed to tell them without being trying to hide nothing and sugarcoat it. Tell them what it is. And if they really want it, they're going to come into it anyway. You know, and that's what I learned a long time ago. And I use that same methodology now with love out front. You know what I mean? Because more than anything, we didn't love you, we wouldn't even be talking to you. you know, we'll let you perish where you at. You know what I mean? But we do know the ancestors got to sort some of our people out. Because no matter all the proofs that you see me putting up there, they don't care. You can pull every source you want to out there. And it's saying it right, like you said earlier, in stone. It's right there. And I made it up. Oh, yeah. So, thank you for acknowledging that I'm that ancient. But I don't remember the time, you know, when I was out there making this stuff up over 500 BC and, you know, 3000 BC. You know? But if y'all want to put it on me, all right. You know, that's what our people do. So Islam, you know, you have to laugh at the folly. Greatness, goodness gracious. But at this time, I think I seen our National Grand Sheik on here early. I don't know if he's still there. Dr. Serapis Amin Rael. You still there, Sheik?
I don't see him, Grandman.
Okay, he was on there earlier though.
Yeah, he's on there early and dropped back off.
Praise be to Allah. Well, all right, brother. I don't see our sister all set on there either, so you can come forth and give your message, brother. Assistant Chairman.
Islam, grand class. You know, grand class once again, Dr. Shaheed. And, you know, definitely we have to give our praises to Father God Allah and unto our Holy Prophet, you know, that we are here in our sacred grove, you know, receiving, you know, grand information to be fundamental, you know, and constantly expand, you know, our gross national product, wisdom. So we definitely also gratitude for the information sent via email. And, you know, I'm glad that you are out there in the social media, you know, correcting or just even adding the insight and sowing those seeds, you know, to our people that, well, like I say, they've been Europeanized, so to speak, in their thought pattern and can't take anything or can accept any knowledge and truth from their very own, the Moorish American National. So we give honor to everything that you do. And then only question I had was, just to be precise for the homework, you want us to pick the letter A and build on that letter A. I just want to be precise with that, sir.
Yeah, well, actually, we got a few measures. One of the aspects with the lessons, I gave you all in the PDF dealing with the lessons that run up all the way, I think, to 11. Mm-hmm. You know, you go in there and become familiar with the Demotic, you know, alphabet. Also, you can even practice some transliteration and identifying the letters in that way, you know, words, so forth and so on, learning the grammar, mm-hmm. You know, all that. But then when it comes to dealing with the letter A, I have, like I said, the whole of the dictionary, but being that we didn't want to overburden the Moors, we gave you the letter A to work with from this particular point. Okay. And that's like 100 pages alone. And so we taking this letter A and like I showed you, I wrote it out on the side what it was saying in order to be able to properly pronounce it. So we're going to let our Moorish kin also write out these things so that they can also be able to properly pronounce what it is they demonstrating. And eventually what we end up doing is just putting together the whole Demotic dictionary, you know, and putting the Moorish perspectives on these things and then giving, you know, that as actually a work to the public. You know, it will be used to deal with certain transliterations. We end up doing the same thing with the Hieratic as well. Go ahead, brother.
Islam. Yeah, it's no, I was just agreeing. I was just listening to you. I was just well, and then also too, when I looked at it, so we're going to, I guess this one of the handouts come from the Chicago Institute or something like that, dealing with the Demotic language. This is what we're going to, as far as it's going to be the primary source. And why did you choose this source?
No, that's the letter A. That's the letter A. And what it is, that's just choosing for the dictionary aspects. All that's one letter A. That's why I say it's 100. That's 100 pages dealing with the letter A. All them alphabets is dealing with the letter A, different words and the definitions. Sir. And so I chose that so that the Moors can become familiar with the letter A first. We got all the other alphabets, but the letter A we want to start with, and then we'll go through them each at a time so our people don't get thrown off, because that's a lot of information, bro. And if you put everything out there at one time, more is gonna confuse themselves. Because you know, our people, they ain't, you know, some of our people, they won't stay in that one area. They want to go way up here, and then now they'll be asking questions about what way up here when we need to be staying in one area. That's how they do it in any educational apparatus. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. I'll just my only question was just we're gonna stand on the Oriental Institute. That's all. Like why did you choose them? And that's what we're gonna stand on. As far as the first handout that we received in the actual email.
You say, why did I choose them?
That's I'm just saying.
Source. That's the only source that we have out here, my brother, that has the Demotic being put in an order. That's why that's chosen. We're working with the resources that we have, unless you have a Demotic dictionary that can rival that.
No, the reason why and I asked that because when I was looking up just different information, it had actually the Oriental. I seen it in my like in the search as a research, and it pulled up Demotic. So it was like, which is why I asked you that because I ran across, but I wasn't sure. That's why I say, why did we, we're gonna stand on this? And you just said, you answered my question. You said, hey, this is the only source. So being that this is the only source, and I ran across it, I'm just looking at it as no coincidence. Like it's definitely something to go by. That's why I asked you that question.
Okay, all is well. Well, like I said, mainly the thing is, having the dictionary, we already got the history behind it, and we are trying to give it to our people stage by stage, because this ain't something we speak on a daily basis. And so the whole key is getting the people familiar with transliteration. But a whole nother measure has to do with us being able to make these things applicable, like I said, to our own literature. For example, these same dictionary, just like I got the Arabic dictionary of the Quran. Why did I use that particular dictionary? Because it's the dictionary of the Quran. But it can be used in order to make people familiar with those words. Also, give people familiarity with words that deal with our Moorish Holy Quran. You see, it gives us a more in-depth aspect of dealing with certain words. And so it is also when we begin to build up our dictionary in and of itself, words from these dictionaries will be taken just as it is in other languages. In certain languages, everybody build up dictionary based upon, root words. And so most likely we'll be dealing with words that deal with, I like to call it a linguistic triad. KEMET, what the people know of as Hebrew Proto-Sinaitic, and then you have what you call, Arabic, which is Mudaric in its real state. We're going to create a pyramid with these words because these are the majority words that our people identify with these doctrines. And that's going to get us some understanding. I'm just telling you later on down the line, that ain't something to be focused on now. So that's why it's important that we have as much in the resources we have. Because see, if I wouldn't have put the resources up there, most of our people been like, can we have that? When will we be able to find a dictionary? So we're putting it out there, to get beyond that particular questioning. So gratitude. Islam?
Islam, gratitude. Islam.
Mm-hmm. Islam. Well, all right. Is there, I think that's all our officials that's there. Well, let us call 4 or 5 Moorish kin to see what it is they have to bring on the manifest. Islam? Islam, grand man.
Islam, man. I just got to give you honors, man, because the way you be out there, battling, I got called the N-word 7 times in one conversation on Clubhouse, and they was like, and I stood up for myself. I was like, look, you're not just gonna disrespect me like that. And they said this is not how a Moor acts. So they thinking just because we are in a peaceful state that you could push over, and the way you hold your ground is something to. That's a bar right there. That's a bar.
Brother Batibé, you there? There you go.
That's a bar that I'm reaching for, but haven't attained yet. So that's why I'm better off dealing with people one-on-one, because with audience, people tend to bulk up. They tend to puff their chest out a little bit more. So I gotta get you honest with that, man. I've seen it too many times how you hold your composure with that, man. That's Islam. Peace and love. Sure.
Islam and peace and love. And that's an honor, brother, for you going out there, because that's your testing ground as well. You know, and I tell you, you know, it goes back to a state like I was telling the Moors, after gaining the peace that I was able to gain, you know, ain't nobody finna pull me back down in there, because I know, you know, how I would be in an old state of mind. You know what I mean? It's the pop, boom, 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 you know, that boom, the boom noise you hear? That's in an old state of mind. But with the love out front, knowing where our people, you can't do nothing but pity. And so, yeah, when you get in Clubhouse, oh, it's way more rambunctious. I mean, even with Sarnetta, you see, you know, he got a certain way he demonstrate, but at least he tried to put some order on the manifest to a certain degree, right? You know, he tried to have his little measure there, but like Clubhouse, it's, oh man, I done been on there, and I'm telling you, I done heard, you know, and they will click up on you and rat pack you, so to speak, you know, and and be ignorant as ever. And so to sit in the midst of that, you got to be rooted, because if not, if you ain't rooted, it's gonna cause you to question who you is. They can never make me question who I am. And I done been in different sites of social media, not just Clubhouse, a whole bunch of them that you can go in. And I ain't even got to be saying that. I can just be sitting on the panel because I'm really studying the people, just trying to see where the people at. And somebody just called me out. You know, who is this Malcolm X looking nigga? You know, just out the blue. You know, thank Farrakhan, and yeah, they just go to attack you. I ain't even said nothing. He got the Circle 7 in his background. That's one of them Moors, y'all. And then it start from there. You see what I'm saying? And so now, all right, it's time for me to go ahead and raise these ones up from the dead. And I go to demonstrating on them, demonstrate. Then it be about 2 or 3 of them that come up out of there. They get it. They hear what I'm saying, and they'll start standing in the fence. They don't even know me. They'll be like, man, y'all won't even listen to what the brother's saying. Y'all ignorant, man. This is what I be talking about. Then next time I come back on there, they'll say, brother, I went and did the research, man. Everything you said was the truth. You see what I'm saying? So you ain't gonna be able to drop it on all of them. You know, because some of our people just got a deep-rooted bias in them that's been taught to them by the West. And it go back to mental slavery. The chairman called it post-traumatic slave syndrome. And so these syndromes, you know, are definitely what's keeping our people in that state. But yeah, keep giving it to them, Brother Bati Bey. And they're going to get it. I mean, because again, like I keep telling them, I love to quote that. The general opinion of men would never alter the nature of the truth. You can say that something don't exist, but when I'm putting all this truth up here, those who know what's going on. Just like in that video right there, brothers was saying like, man, that brother right there just, you know, exposed this brother, man. He don't know how to read the Demotic. You know what I mean? But he putting himself out there as being the chief metal netter. And they went and got him because of stuff that I was saying about the so-called other chief Kemetic dude, Jabari, who attacked me. Talking about brother Commission don't know, how dare you go against the ancestors, and you know, all this stuff here. So they done got together, and we got to stop this dude. And so that's basically it. I just smile at him because it's all love. And so that's how we got to be, family. We got to stand firm and put that Moorish measure out there. And I have strangers that reach out and say the same thing, brother. I don't know how you stand, like the brothers from the MST of A. He said, brother, I want to give you honors. He used to attack the government. He said, man, I want to give you honors, brother. The way you hold your ground, the way you deal with these people. And that means more than what I'm even talking about. The way that one conduct oneself when that pressure is being applied. And they're going to apply it. But all of us have to go through that fire, because like the Grand National Secretary of the State said, our prophet went through it. You know what I mean? He had people want to chase him around the temple with knives and carry it on. You know what I mean? Come on, so come on now. Who we think we is? You know, so, you know, I give honors to you, Brother Bati Bey. But like the prophet say, Rome, you had me 2,000 years ago, but I got you today. Islam. All right, any other more would like to come forth and give their portion? Ain't no stopping us now. Islam. All right, we ain't got no more that want to bring forth a portion. Y'all know we
Islam.
close. Okay.
Islam.
All right, Brother Marvin Edwards Bay. Islam, grand man.
Gratitude. Praise and honor have been given. I just thought that was Bay. Yeah, I just want to give you props or however you want to put it, honors for all that you do, and say gratitude for the information that you sent out. And I see that we're being duly prepared on all fronts here. You know what I mean? As we see how you conduct yourself, you know what I mean, in dealing with the Moors that, like you say, they've been stuck in their ways for so long and have reached a certain status that even though you're speaking the truth and you're giving them demonstrations, and they still want to say no to the truth. And I just say gratitude for that. And appreciate the information that you sent out. And yes, this will definitely be a help and an aid to better understand. You know what I mean? So I just got to put in for it the time and the effort. I just want to say just gratitude for all that you do. We appreciate you. Islam.
Islam, grand man, gratitude. And that's the thing too, when you start writing those things out and like the transliterated sentences and they translate it, we should actually start getting into the measure of, even if we call up each other, we talk to each other and say, all right, Moors, we begin to greet each other in these types of ways as well. Because if we start speaking these things, also it impress that in our memory as well. Like I said, taking alphabet by alphabet, going through certain measures of the script, we'll definitely become knowledgeable of it. We give honors to you, brother, again, Marvin Edwards Bay, for all you do. And again, grand class in the Moorish perspectives. Praise be to Allah. Well, all right. Sister Dendera, Ania, Kurta Bay, Islam. Y'all watch out now.
Islam.
Goddess of Queen.
Islam. First, Dr. Dendera Nia Kurta Bay. First, let me rise and give praises to the great God Allah and give honors to our holy prophet, Noble Ali. I give honors to that one. I give honors to everyone on this line. I give honors to you, National Sister Grand Sheik, for this wonderful class. And again, like everybody's saying, I give honors to you and dealing with our Moorish kin out there. I tell you, I really, and what I do when you be doing those little debates and stuff. Oh yes, and see, y'all are our example. The way you hold yourself, and we be tested in every area of our life, even with our children and our families and stuff. If we can hold our composure just like you do, even in those small situations. So you're teaching us how we as Moorish kin is supposed to act. But what I enjoy about those little things that you have, because I know I'm still learning and unfolding, and I know that there are areas where I'm weak in. So I go back and listen, and I listen to them. I listen, and some of their questions I'll be like, oh my, I know that. And then when I hear you, they may say something that I'm not familiar with. And then I'm listening to you responding to them and how you respond to them. So that's what I'm doing. You're teaching me and you're debating against them. So I'm sitting there listening. I'm saying, okay, that's the way I'm supposed to say it. And this the way it looked. Oh man, that YouTube, I didn't listen to that thing a couple of times, and I am enjoying that, just getting the understanding of the teachings. And even when you showed the different scripts and everything, and when you brought up the script of Thomas, and I was like, oh, I think I thought, I got to go back and look at it, but I think I recognized some alphabets in there, some of the alphabets that we've already gone over. I think I recognize some of them. But gratitude for sending us out that email, and y'all always send out the recording of today. So hopefully you send that out, because I want to look at that. Even though we got the email, I want to listen and watch how you went down through it. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm not intimidated no more. I'm enjoying this. I'm looking forward to just going through, like you say, finding the A, going through all of them, finding the A, finding the B, you know, and trying to put some words together. And I recognize one of the exercises you gave where they had like the 3 letters together and it meant something. And I had already did one of those, and but I wasn't familiar. I didn't have all of them. Now you got all of those things up there. So it's just an honor, gratitude, God, man, for all that you do. Gratitude for your patience, and I love y'all for being patient with me, because I'm trying to learn the language and the computer. That's so. So Islam family, gratitude for letting me share.
In Islamism, goddess and queen, we give honors to you for all that you do and everything that you will do. And it's just an honor to be here with our Moorish kin, goddess. And most definitely, we have everything we need to move forward. We just got to keep it with the momentum. Not just with this, go back and make sure you study in your copy, study in your Arabic. We got Quran.com. I sent out to the Moors where they can deal with words Quranically, and so, we want to be bilingual. Like they say, the brother Kirkman Bay, he was a master polyglot. We gonna be the real deal. The only difference this time, we dealing with the prophet. You know what I mean? And we working for the prophet. So all of this stuff is gonna pay off, when it's said and done, because we're gonna be able to give our people, the best of all. And that's the thing, especially when we start transliterating certain things. And I'm gonna show you that really ain't hard either, to do when we start doing that, because really you don't have to change the whole of text. It's just certain words, that need to be corrected in certain documents and doctrines, and so that won't take us long to do that when it comes to dealing with, just say, if we wanted to transliterate the Piscean records, and there's certain things in there that should be known a certain way, but they're not known that way. They are hidden. They have to be interpreted. No, we'll put that measure in the actual text itself, and it reads that way. And that will be the version that we give to our people. Same thing with the Grand Quran. We'll bring forth a Moorish expression of that special demonstration, not changing so much of the context of what it is, but placing certain things there that should be there that relate, to our people, relate to the Moors, where they haphazardly mention certain things, but don't go in depth. For example, you hear them talking about the people of Sabah, the Sabians, and they never go into it. We're going to let you know these people are descendants of Tehudi. You don't see Qurans that break that thing down. So we'll be putting things out there like that. We'll use a lot of, Elihu's commentary, our chairman commentary, in relation to dealing with these breakdowns, because that's all a part of what we call, transliteration, the ancient Kemetian teaching. So all of these books, we'll bring these things forth, and then when people come in, they won't even have to read from the European version no more, because they'll have the Moorish, Grand Quran. They'll have the Moorish, Torah. They'll have the Moorish, Injil. You see what I'm saying?
Islam, gratitude. That's gonna be grand, though. That's gonna be grand. This is wonderful. This is wonderful. Islam.
Yeah. Islam, that's the grand goal. And guess what? We all will be working together, upon it to do it. It ain't gonna be just one person doing it, taking all the credit. No, we're gonna do it as a collective.
That's right.
The grand body. That way, like we say, this is the prophet working through us. Islam. You put the pen in our hand, what he said, what we supposed to do with it when we get it.
Right on.
Yes, sir. That ain't just a saying. We got to do it.
Islam.
Islam, goddess and queen, we love you. Yes, sir. Well, all right. I think that's really everybody that's on the panel. So what we can do is we can go on the third heaven, because we know our Moorish kin got some business they got to be about. And this is nothing. Yeah, we will get out. We actually got like 3 videos to put up here.
But I just got to put the pictorial expression up here because I've been moving through the highways and byways here and there. And so we'll definitely have that on the manifest for our Moorish kin. And we look forward to your homework and what it is you bring forth. You know, like I said, write down, deal with that letter A and all of that. And, you know, you can put the letters beside it. I wrote mine because I didn't want to get up there typing. You could actually type beside it too. I'll probably do that at a later time. You know, just put things there and type it in because certain ways you can work with the word like that. Yeah, that and just becoming identified with the words and the phraseology and transliteration and, you know, stuff like that. So Islam, more. And at this time, what we'll do, we'll pass the meeting back over to our brother, assistant chairman, brother Torrey Simpson Bay. Islam, you there, grand man?
Islam, we are on the manifest. Islam, another grand class, our Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate class. Gratitude, Dr. Shahi, for all that you bring forth, indeed, and all that you do and all that you're going to do, grand man. We give honors to you. We praise Allah for you. Islam, Islam, Islam. Well, we're going to close out this meeting. It's been a grand one. January the 15th, 1929. A warning from the Prophet to be read at every meeting. I hereby inform all citizens that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any citizen or group of citizens who hold malicious feelings toward the government or the Prophet or violate the divine confidence of the Moorish movement will receive the reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their Prophet. If they lose confidence in their Prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the Prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the Prophet, noble Jawali, and if the Prophet is not right, the government is not right. The Prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their Prophet and the government. This is an everlasting movement founded by the Prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their simple ways. By order of Prophet Noble Jawali, Islam. Chapter 25, Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother hath given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in our Father's house. And when you separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Islam, Islam, Islam. Go in peace, mighty Moors. It's an honor and a blessing to be here and everywhere as Moorish Americans. Islam, family. This meeting has been
Grand class, peace and love. Love you all.
Grand class.
According to Act 2, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
Dr.
Islam.
Shahi. Grand class.
Yes, indeed, grand class. See you at Sunday school, Morris.
Yes, sir.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Moorish kin, peace and love.
Islam.
See you later, Sunday school. Islam.
Islam. Stay strong, Morris. Peace and love.
Most definitely.
Love.